Hey everyone, you're listening to the official podcast of 4PlayerNetwork.com. Check us out at that address for everything you need to know about our community, monthly giveaways, and nightly live streams. You can even support us on Patreon at patreon.com/4Player. And last but not least, you can catch the live recordings of these podcasts every single Thursday night on our Twitch channel. We hope to see you there. Enjoy. Everybody, welcome to 4Player Podcast. This is episode 596. It is April 4th, 2019. My name is Nick Henderson. To my right is Brad Simons.
Hello.
Nolan Hedstrom.
How's it going, everybody?
And Christopher Guthridge.
Oi.
Chris Davis is also here. Sorry, I didn't give you proper warning on that one, Nolan. Chris Davis?
Hello.
Hello, Chris Davis. Happy Avengers Ticket Nightmare Week.
Ooh, that's true.
Holy shit.
Did you see that one picture of... it is from Infinity War. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's like...
Do we care about spoilers?
Oh, hold on. I'll just say it was Iron Man holding the Alamo Drafthouse servers, and it said, "I don't feel so good, Mr. Stark."
Oh, that's pretty good. Oh my god, that was crazy. Everybody who was going to get tickets got tickets though eventually, right? Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't difficult if you don't really care about not going on the weekend.
That's true.
It wasn't really difficult if you didn't buy tickets.
First of all, I will say
that is also true.
I will say that
The only winning
there
move
was
was to not
plenty
play.
of there was plenty of even on the weekend. There was plenty of seats open for like the 11 p.m. showing, or like Sunday at 11 p.m. And I'm not about to fucking go watch a 3-hour movie at 11 p.m. on like on a school night, on a work night. At first, I thought about it for a second. I was like, oh yeah, you know, whatever. I'll get out at like
special occasion.
I'll get out at like 1. I was like, wait a second, no, I'll get out at like 2:30.
Yeah.
Like fuck that, man.
Yeah,
I'd have to be at work 5 hours later.
Exactly. So I'm like, nah, I'm good.
I think we're officially too old for that. But
That's what you think.
so I ended up with 2 pairs of tickets on accident. But by some strange, I got one for Sunday, and by some strange miracle, Robin got one on Friday.
Damn.
And it wasn't even, it was like one of those situations where she managed to get the thing to load on the app to get seats. She picked it and then went to checkout, got to the credit card screen, hit it, and then it like went a little spinny thing forever and ever and ever, and then it said something went wrong, and she's like, no, and then she could never get it to load again. And then like an hour later, she got the confirmation email, and we were like, what? So lucked the fuck out on that.
This movie's gonna suck.
Right?
It might.
I'm going Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm going Monday.
My second pair of tickets is also Sunday, so I was like, maybe if it's really good, we'll just
I'll go see it again.
Keep my tickets and go see it again. We are planning on doing a spoiler, like a popcorn cast for it, so maybe it'd be good.
Did you hear?
To watch it a second time.
You can see it an hour early if you buy the Alamo Drafthouse marathon tickets.
Oh,
60
really?
hours of every Marvel movie.
Yeah, by that time you just want to kill yourself.
And then Infinity War starts
at 5 p.m. on Thursday.
Wow. That sounds
That's
stupid.
a bit much. That's a bit
I think
much.
it's technically
Wait, they're doing a marathon of every Marvel movie?
I think it's
That
technically
sounds
59 hours.
Unhealthy?
That sounds like, that doesn't sound enjoyable at all.
Sounds like like
sounds
maybe you're
worse
going to have
than
to
the
sign a
Lord of the Rings.
waiver.
Yeah, worse. It's like fucking 5 times worse. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you like what time? At what point during that marathon do you think
do
they're
they
going
do
to
that?
run out of food?
I thought you said what time
Is
do
it
you
like-
think people are going to leave? And I was saying,
No, what time are people going to sleep?
Are they doing it as a
during
lock-in?
Thor.
Do you like...
They'll sleep during Thor.
I've
The
never
Dark
seen
World.
Thor, though. I can't sleep during
Wait,
that
do
Do
you
you
it's
like
not worth
sleep
it.
at the theater?
That's a
Or is
good
it
question. Like, what if you buy tickets for the marathon but don't actually show up until 5 p.m. on the?
I mean, why not?
why not?
Someone
I feel like
calculated
that's
it's
what's
like
gonna-
40 hours.
Yeah.
It's over 40 hours.
that's like-
So people have to pick a movie to sleep during.
Yes.
Or a few.
Yes. You sleep during the first Captain America,
Iron Man 2.
Boo.
Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 2.
I think 2's better than 3.
No. We've all been way too harsh on Iron Man 3.
I agree.
And we need to go back and give that one another look. Let's not forget that Iron Man 3 was directed by Shane Black.
I know
And
that.
Pretty good.
I did watch Iron Man 3 right before watching Infinity War. Pretty good movie.
But for me,
even though it's not the best.
Guy Pearce, right?
Yes.
I didn't like his performance that much.
Yeah, but like, so what? Like, all the bad guys suck in Marvel movies. Like,
Gwyneth
the exception
Paltrow
of
just
that
sucks
one.
in general.
Oh shit!
On Tony Stark.
Gwyneth Paltrow may suck, but Pepper Potts is pretty good.
She can pepper my
I like
pots.
Pepper Potts.
Fine.
Anyway, sorry, that's neither here nor there. If you want to hear us talk more about the Avengers, I would say tune in the Monday after the Avengers Endgame comes out, we're going to do a
Also,
spoiler cast.
there are some popcorn casts about Avengers movies. If you haven't listened to any of those, you
Yes,
should go check
we
out
did
those.
we did do one for Captain America: Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
Did we do one for the Avengers: Infinity War? I don't think we did.
I'm not going to be able to watch Avengers in theaters because I get this time where the time where I can go to the movie theater is when Malia's mom comes over on Saturdays, which she does most weeks, right? But it's like 12:30 to 4 o'clock is usually, or even 1 to 4 sometimes, and that's the only time she can come. Like right there. She sometimes lower, sometimes a little late, but the chance that a movie starts right, 20 minutes after she gets there finishes, this is already too long.
Yeah.
So there's no way we could watch it during that time slot. So it's pretty much
you could
waiting
have-
for DVD.
You got to take your car to the shop, so you got to leave work a few minutes early, maybe 3-4 hours early. You got to
I
leave work.
could play hooky and watch it by
Yeah.
myself. I
Yeah,
mean,
do that.
Dude, there's no shame in going to the movie alone.
Cheat on your wife with the Avengers.
she does. So we watched it like a week ago for the first time.
Yeah. Infinity War?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, well, we got to watch this if we're going to watch the new one. And apparently we were supposed to want to watch the new one. So but
got the new flash?
I had already known what had happened and everything because, I just Carlos'd it.
Which is
And
I was gonna say that's why people want to go see it the weekend of, because if you don't, you end up like Brad. Like, I
but
already
every
know what
time
happened.
someone would deliver like a comic booky line, she would just burst out laughing. It's just not her thing. But I still think we're gonna watch the one. But we have to watch Captain Marvel. I want to watch Captain Marvel.
Marvel yet.
But I have to watch that before I. Wait, how are you gonna watch the new one without watching Captain Marvel?
Well, he's got.
I'm gonna go see Captain Marvel.
He's got a month.
Also, Crispy.
What?
Matt
very
texted me
alt-right of
yesterday,
you.
asked me if I'd seen Captain Marvel yet. And I was like,
Yeah,
yes.
I know. He already has.
And I was like, Crispy hasn't seen it.
Why haven't you seen Captain Marvel?
because
Did you also not watch
haven't,
Wonder
like-
Woman?
I haven't. I watched Wonder Woman.
I think he's
haven't-
making a sexist joke.
Yeah.
No,
Thanks.
an alt-right joke.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. There we go.
Yeah, the alt-right wasn't crazy about Wonder Woman either, I don't think.
Yeah, I know.
Of course
But-
not.
Although I think in general
I
the
just
alt-right
haven't-
prefers
Because I
DC.
just started a new job and I'm just like trying to find, time to do things. But I did go see Us.
Ooh.
I haven't seen that
And
yet.
that was
That's probably-
really good.
That was
we
really
watched
good.
before.
And I watched the first Twilight Zone episode.
Oh,
I watched that too.
That's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on
for
YouTube.
free.
Is it on YouTube?
Yeah.
I watched
Free?
it on YouTube. I watched it
It's
yesterday.
really good.
I do need to watch that.
It's-
Holy shit.
It's very Twilight Zone.
Yeah, it's very true.
Good.
Which I like Twilight Zone, so it's good.
Fuck yes.
Have we started doing this again? Talking
Yeah,
about non-podcast
yeah.
stuff?
Apparently.
I mean,
It
this
was
is one of
video
those
games.
20
days.
minutes of the podcast.
This is
Dude,
one of
I-
those days where we only have like one big game to talk about.
You want to talk
Yeah,
about
that's
what
true.
I've been playing the last week?
Hey,
Because it's a lot of Destiny.
what's up, Shannon?
Then
I don't
definitely
chat much.
yes.
Wait, what have you been playing?
Anyway, a lot of Destiny.
Lots and lots of Destiny.
Yes, we did get pint glass. All right, we need to focus. Let's rein this in. This is a video game podcast, obviously. Before we do that, little housekeeping. Hit the overlay there. Thank you. I want to do a little Patreon housekeeping. We updated our Patreon recently. Check it out. Just want to make you aware of a couple things. Couple things. We got a couple bonus podcasts coming up. On the 15th of April, we're going to be recording a Red Dead Redemption 2 like post-mortem type thing. So if you played the game,
Just in time.
yeah, if you haven't finished the game, now would be a great time to go and do that. We're not going to be focusing necessarily on spoilers, but we're not going to be worried about spoilers either. So if you haven't finished it, it's probably a good idea to go do that before we record this. But if you are a supporter on Patreon or Twitch and you would like to send us your questions or talking points for that episode, you have basically a week and 3 or 4 days to do so. You can go to patreon.com/4Player and leave it there. Also, we brought the Revival Club back and we're playing Devil May Cry 3 this month and maybe a little bit of next month. Who knows? We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we're playing that together as a community. We'll do a bonus podcast in May where we talk about that. And I started that this past week. I'm not going to talk about it tonight too much because I only played a couple missions so far, but that game's pretty good. Yeah, what was that, Noel?
What's up?
We'll
Got the shakes going on a
go-
little bit over here. Just
You don't like Devil May Cry 3?
I've never played it,
Brad.
We've talked about this.
He's making jokes. But yeah, if you're interested in supporting us on Patreon or interested in being a part of the Revival Club and playing some older games along with us and with other people out in the community. If you support us on Patreon, you get access to an exclusive Discord channel where you can come and talk about the games, and then we'll do a bonus podcast at the end of each session, and then y'all get to also participate in like the nomination and voting process for what game comes next. It's pretty fun. I'm enjoying it a lot so far, and there's a lot of really good ideas that have been thrown out for future episodes. So
there's much better ideas.
Bloodlines.
Would have loved to participate in one of those.
Suikoden.
yeah. Well, wait.
Chaos Theory.
He threw out Chaos
Yeah,
Theory.
that's a little random. How about when they announce a new Splinter Cell?
Hey, what are you talking
How
about? Back
about
in
when
the
they
day,
finally announce a new Splinter Cell?
back in the day when we did the Splinter,
We did Double Agent, yeah.
we did Double Agent, which was cool.
One of
I'm
the
glad
few we
played
actually
that.
did.
Yeah, we recorded 3 episodes: Stranger's Wrath, Jade Empire, and Double Agent.
And we started Psychonauts, but everyone bitched out. No one wanted to play it except me, and I played through it. Hey,
Anyways, if you want to support us on
did
Patreon,
we try to do like a Parasite Side
4Player.
Even?
Yeah, I
You
think
thought
so.
it was too hard, Nick, or something?
No, I don't think we ever got that one off the ground.
Oh.
The point is, we brought it back. It's more of a community-centric thing. It's fun. We can all play games together and talk about them together.
Fun.
Exactly.
Just have fun.
Yeah, come have fun with us. Patreon.com/4Player. Or if you just want to play along, you don't have to support us on Patreon necessarily, but
When did video games stop being
Yeah.
fun?
Although
when I started playing Hollow Knight, I'm just
Although
kidding.
I do want to warn all the Devil May Cry 5, like new Devil May Cry fans who played 5, this one's actually challenging. So, so I don't know if this is going to be fun for you since you like baby games like Devil May Cry 5.
Oh my
But-
god,
This guy.
throwing shade.
But
Such a
no, just kidding. You know, I briefly want to mention the one movie I've been watching like 9,000 times because Henry's got a
Because
new
Henry's
channel.
watching it now?
Yeah.
Moana.
Yeah. Well, no, he's off Moana. I mean, he
Ooh,
still
what's-
watches
what's his
Moana,
new hook?
but we go Captain Underpants.
What is that?
Captain
I
Underpants.
forgot they did a movie of
There
that.
is, and it's pretty good.
I don't
Shut
know.
up.
what
It's
that
not
means.
bad. It's
Captain Underpants.
Captain
Are
Underpants.
you sure you're not just going crazy?
I don't know what it's called. It's the Captain Underpants movie.
yeah,
it's
watching
called
this?
Captain Underpants. You guys never read those books?
I didn't read
It's
the
like
books.
a series of book about these kids who hypnotize their principal into thinking he's a superhero.
Yeah.
named Captain Underpants.
The movie's pretty funny.
And it's like this egg-shaped bald man who runs around in briefs and a cape
Yeah.
and thinks he's a superhero.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
I've never heard
It's
of
pretty
this.
funny.
Captain Underpants.
Yeah. It's pretty funny.
What, you guys never had book fairs at your school?
Dude, I
Yeah,
love the
I-
Scholastic Book Fair, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But all I
I
cared
bought
about-
Goosebumps books.
Yeah, the only
Captain
thing I
Underpants didn't exist.
The only thing I
kid.
cared about at the Scholastic Book Fair
Goosebumps.
was the next Goosebumps book.
Yeah.
It was always coming out around
Yeah.
the same time as the book fair.
Yeah. Scary stories to tell in the dark,
Ooh,
bitch.
yeah.
Dude, I got.
All right, let's
That
talk
movie's
about video
still
games.
going to be for kids, though, right?
Captain Underpants?
No,
Scary
it's
Stories to Tell in the Dark.
I watched
yeah,
the
for
trailer.
sure,
And it's
right.
like, fuck, it seems fucked up. But it's
Yeah.
still supposed to be for kids, right? But back in the day, they did horror movies for younger people.
I don't think that.
Those don't really exist anymore.
I don't think that movie's gonna be for kids. I'm surprised people consider the book to be for kids. The book has some.
Kids are growing
Fucked
up
up
quick,
shit.
Nick, now.
But
Kids
that's
are growing up
what I'm
fast.
saying. Like that type of material would be for kids back in the day, but
Not so much anymore.
not so much anymore.
Anyways, let's get back to video games. We want to read some feedback from last week's show, as we always do. If you listen to us and you want to chime in on anything we talk about tonight, if you have any questions or thoughts about the discussions we have, you can head over to 4playernetwork.com, leave us a comment on the post for this episode, and we'll read it at the start of the next show. Mr. Greentoast wrote, during the podcast, there was some confusion why Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 is getting hype. While the combat and rush development of the first game felt odd at times, the dialogue and story were a major highlight for multiple choices to pick from in chats, with certain options only appearing with certain vampire classes or being low on blood. Along with multiple endings, it was quite fun to replay for those factors.
I wasn't really
alone.
able to chime in last time either, but like
Because you weren't here.
yeah, exactly. Bloodlines was like infamous at the time because when it came out, it was like damn near fucking broken, and it was over years and years of like that cult like fan support and like fan made patches to where the game finally got like bug free and playable, and the version of Bloodlines that you're supposed to play is the one with these fan patches because the original version was like borderline broken, and I think that was the last game Troika ever made. Ended up killing them, so.
By the way, I saw that Brad in the Revival Club nominations channel threw this game out there as a possibility.
Yeah, I mean it's seriously fantastic. I mean the Malkavians, they y'all talked about them. Somebody
did.
brought them up a little last
We
week.
did.
They're like batshit insane, right? They're like you have like dialogue trees with like stop signs, and only that character class can have that because they're fucking crazy. But the cool thing is they also like their dialogue choices will start to like give you hints of like major spoilers of the game that only they see because they're crazy. It's like prophetic stuff.
That's cool.
It's like super smart. I love that game.
Interesting.
Yeah, but people say probably don't pick them for the first playthrough.
No.
Because that's like a unique experience.
Gotcha.
Yeah. They'll most certainly come back.
Mr. Green Toast also says, P.S. F you Borderlands haters. I'm hype as shit for Borderlands 3 and nothing will stop me.
What about when it gets horrible reviews?
Well, do you think it will get horrible reviews?
Nah.
It's probably
Probably not.
No,
I'm just saying.
it won't. See, and this is okay. Like,
Oh,
no
let's
one's
not
saying we're not hyped for. Like, I'm kind of hyped for Borderlands.
I'll be excited when
I think
when
my
it comes
problem
out.
is that like I don't understand the Borderlands fan base because I think those are the only people that Gearbox are listening to, and those people overwhelmingly are just saying, "Give us more Borderlands. We want the exact same thing that you've been giving us for
That is
10
an
years."
issue.
Yeah. And that sucks. Like that is terrible.
That's a lot of fan community.
Well, no, that is a lot, but I think
Yeah, but-
Borderlands
but
in
like,
particular.
like I think,
it
I
really
think
suffers
Borderlands
from that.
specifically is like really defensive about the design of those games, and like they think that like asking for new things or asking for any sort of like innovation is admitting that like the game is flawed.
So hold on. So one of my biggest problems with the second game wasn't that it was a bad game. It was just more of the first game.
Yeah.
They made a few improvements, but by the time I don't know how, I played the second game, but like not even halfway, like a quarter of the way through it, I was like, I just feel like I'm playing more Borderlands 1, and I wanted something more, but apparently like, because all Borderlands fans want is more Borderlands.
But I think the passionate Borderlands fan community cares more about like the characters and the humor and the look of the game, to where if they start to get more ambitious with mechanics, I think they'd still be supportive of it, as long as, you know, like Tiny Tina's back, and that's what Borderland fans care about, not so much, you know, maybe the structure or whatever. So you say they want to keep it the same, but I think they just really want the things that they love to come back, and I think that's probably going to happen.
But do those things that they love ever really leave? Like, are they? No.
No, I mean,
I feel
even
like
Borderlands
the
fans also love,
pre-sequel-
like, you know,
I feel like
Tales from the Borderlands because it still had Borderlands DNA.
I feel like the
Or
prequel,
that the fans care about.
I feel like the pre-sequel was like more of the same.
Well,
but,
it's
like,
kind of
people started to, like-
budgety. They reused a lot of assets and stuff, though. I mean, that's not a real sequel.
It's a pre-sequel.
But didn't they use a lot of? Wait, what?
Yeah,
Let's move on. Anyways,
we're going to talk about Borderlands later.
that's true. Fuzzy Turd says, last week I asked a question about hotboxing and
this
video
shit.
game characters fart. What?
I don't know what the fuck y'all are talking about. And no, mashed potato poop, that's not good, dude. You'll
Anyway,
probably die.
Last week I asked a question about hotboxing and video. By the way, this is. Can we not talk about hotboxing anymore? And video game characters farts while eating mashed bananas. Apparently, I'm a doorknob and can't type anything correctly. The point of the mashed bananas was that I happened to find mashed bananas to be the most visually repulsive food with an unsettling, slimy texture.
And so.
I had a banana smoothie this morning. Does that count?
yes.
No.
I'd like
drink diarrhea.
Oh, gross. I'd like to thank Nolan for actually answering the question, and Nick for seeing past my partial illiteracy. Also, I don't understand what's so fun about Borderlands. God damn. It's all going all over the place. I've bought them multiple times and cannot stand how boring and repetitive they are. They're funny, but it's the same shit over and over. Go here, shoot that, loot that, return to the quest giver, repeat. I feel like that's a lot of games. Anyways, he says, I'd rather suck a wet fart. Okay, let's move on.
He says, I'd rather suck a wet fart out of Solid Snake's asshole. Let's give him his due, Nick.
Oh
like
my
people
god.
wanna be
Don't
mean
censor
to
the
Borderlands,
fuzzy
but,
turd.
I'm so... Oh man, I should really start screening these questions.
You should have said, I'd rather
I
suck a
don't-
fuzzy
like, there's
turd.
not even that many. I don't know why you don't. Like,
Chai, I mean, sometimes I do. This week I didn't read them. Chai Tai, I really wanted to share the story I remembered based on the mashed bananas question from last week.
oh my god.
God damn
Nice.
it. When I was a kid, my older cousin and I were at the mall, and he needed to use the bathroom, so I waited outside. Someone had destroyed the toilet so bad you could smell it standing a good few feet away. He said loudly, I breathe through my mouth so I don't smell it. I asked him, so you taste it then? He immediately threw up all over
God.
himself and started crying.
Jesus.
And he had to wait there for an hour while his mom ran off to buy sweatpants and his dad cleaned him up. Last I saw him, he's still upset about it.
Jesus.
That is fucked tough.
I mean, you are tasting it.
That's true.
I mean,
well, that's one thing. Like whenever I go into the bathroom and I smell,
And then Haste response, "What the fuck, Chai?"
whenever I go into a bathroom and I smell like the poo smell or whatever, I'm like, oh, those little particles were just in someone's butthole and now they're in my nose.
yeah, that's exactly what it is. I mean, yeah.
They had that conversation on the Giant Bomb cast once, and and now every time I go into a bathroom and I smell it, I think about that. I think about it, and it drives me crazy. Anyways,
just breathe through your nose or your mouth, Nick.
thorax.
There's also shit just going through your pores too.
Yep.
True. Thorax says, to answer your question, yes, I co-op Resident Evil 6 first. I co-opted Resident Evil 6 first, then played 5. That's a shame. 2, good on you for scaling back on streams, just as you shouldn't force yourself to work on a job you absolutely hate. You should not force to stream if you're not 100% about it. Yes, I forgot to mention that.
Yeah.
If you missed last week's show, we did announce that we're not aiming for the 100% streaming every single day thing anymore. We'll still continue to stream largely uninterrupted, but there might be days where we decide we just don't feel like streaming, and if that's the case, we may not stream. So we're doing that largely for our own sanity and mental health and all that stuff. So I hope you're all okay with that. There's a statement up on the website. Check it out if you're interested. Brad, do you want to answer the third bullet point? I really do.
No,
This makes me uncomfortable.
Yes, let's move on. Haste. Wait, scroll down. Keep going. See, whole question. There we go. Haste, you're going to a place with slow internet, Nick. I'm not expecting any visitors at my house. I get it. I see. No, I'm not going to your house. Haste. I think it goes without saying that Stadia would be the end for me of
gaming.
For gaming.
Okay. Children come out of the womb faster than my internet speed. I love the mini cuts. Okay. Do we want to address that at all? Brad, how do you... We didn't get a chance to talk to you about the Stadia. What's your like 10,000
It all
foot view?
depends on the model. I mean, the technology's iffy, but if you're buying games, I mean, no way, right? But if it's like a super affordable subscription service like Netflix or whatever, then yeah. I mean, the thing is, it could just be supplemental, right? I mean, I watch a lot of movies from like the Redbox, and then and that's basically the stuff that's not on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
People watch Netflix. They still go to movies. They still buy movies occasionally. But
I could imagine.
Like, I still need physical movies or renting from like Amazon or whatever, right? I mean,
I could imagine with Stadia, and that's not something I thought about until just now. Because I was thinking about like the rental service and stuff like that, and instead of like buying a game, you pay $15-$20 a month, whatever, and you get to stream the games. But I could imagine them doing like ads, like when you're like, oh, I want to spin up this game, and it would show you an ad. Because I'm thinking like, how are they gonna make a whole lot of money?
Or like you play the next Assassin's Creed and you have to like kill somebody with a Mountain Dew bottle or something.
so not like that. I'm trying to. I think you could honestly do it in like a kind of classy way. If you think about something like GameFly, the GameFly packaging like has information on it, and they have ads, and they do stuff like this. When you go on the website, you see ads for other games. But in this instance, I could definitely see you like in like when you're booting up a game or something, before it starts, it would show you an ad, like a 30-second ad for our next upcoming game.
Yeah,
like something like that, like to where like they can make it an affordable process.
I mean, I hope so. I think it needs to be affordable for it to work. But what I'm saying is I think people talk about like the future of games as like this absolute, there's going to be a point in the future where everything's the same, but it's not going to be like that. There's going to be a lot of different ways to consume games, just like there is for movies now. So why are people so fatalistic about the idea of this being successful?
Well, here's the thing. Two things. One, I think the bigger debate has largely been not necessarily about whether this is going to be successful or not. It's more about whether this is like the beginning of like the end for physical gaming. And I think that is less certain because of the fact that like we don't have the infrastructure in place, at least here in the States, to make that a viable thing. Like a lot of people love to play games who don't necessarily have access to fast internet speeds. Two, and this is something Brucey brings up, we didn't really talk about, but like this could be a slippery slope into things like charging more for like higher resolutions.
Also, someone mentioned about Google Fiber last week. They're pulling out. Like, correct. Google Fiber is not like a successful.
In all honesty, Google Fiber was almost a proof of concept. It's not something that Google's not trying to make that their mainstay.
Yeah,
but
there's one city
in regards to Brucey's comment about charging more for higher frame rates or resolution or whatever, I honestly don't think that's going to happen. I think it's
there isn't a precedent for that either. Like Netflix doesn't do that.
Well,
right?
yeah, no, you have to pay extra for 4K. The whole point,
Or
the
like
whole
when
point
you rent,
behind
you
that.
pay
I know I
more
started
for
to say that,
HD.
and I was like, wait a
is
second,
you
they
are
do.
using more bandwidth, so don't think. Yeah, you can't think about it like, oh, you want to play in 1080, you have to pay more. It's about bandwidth. It's about the fact that you're using more of this pipe that is not infinite. There's only so. I mean, we think about it like there's just a million internets out there. You know, there is a limit to it. And so they do, at least in Netflix's case, make you pay more. I could see them for the 1080p one probably being the base one that you just pay whatever. And if you want to upgrade to the 4K or the 8K, potentially paying more. But in all honesty, I do think that Google is only the first company to enter this space. There are going to be other companies entering this space, and if one of them is charging X amount for 4K, the other one's either going to not charge for it or charge less, and that will help fight those prices.
It'll be really interesting to see where this goes, but we'll talk more about that once we actually
once it's actually
something.
a thing. I mean, it's not really a thing yet.
Trust me, there will be a long discussion when they eventually decide to unveil whatever the pricing structure is or the business model is. Haste goes on to say, sorry, we're getting back to your comment, Haste. I loved the mini cuts.
Also, that last part, I was screaming as well.
Okay.
You're like,
we'll get there.
Understand?
I loved the mini cutscenes in Burnout 3 because they were so far in between since you only got one after getting a trophy, unlocking a car, or unlocking the next class of races in the campaign. It really made you feel accomplished. Is that somebody asked a question? I think about our favorite cutscenes, right?
Yeah.
I'm actually not familiar with those cutscenes, but
understand.
okay, so
understand.
You're gonna have to explain this last.
Understand the concept of love. I'm just reading the.
I know.
Okay.
You apparently know what he's talking about.
I don't know what that song is. I don't know what this is in reference to. Like,
Jet Set Radio, man. It's one of the songs from that soundtrack. In fact, I think it's the one that played on the title screen or whatever. Also, Birthday Cake. Birthday Cake's a good one. I got Birthday Cake on my phone if you want me to.
Sorry, never played Jet Set Radio.
Yeah, that's I too have never played Jet Set Radio Future, but maybe one day. Anyways, guys,
extra
thank you.
Sugar, extra salt.
Thank you for your feedback and your questions and whatnot. Like I said, if you want to say something that for us to discuss next week, based on our conversations tonight, head on over to 4playernetwork.com and leave a comment on the post for this very episode. Now, let's talk about Sekiro. Everybody here still playing Sekiro?
No.
Yes.
Well, that's
what is the actual pronunciation of this game?
Sekiro.
Yeah.
Sekiro.
But
Sekiro.
We're not going to bust your balls.
Sekiro is more of like an anglicized.
Yeah, I used to call Kazuya Mishima Kazuya. But that's not right.
Kazuya.
That's definitely not right. To be fair, Crispy, I know you've been playing a lot of Destiny. I too will be playing a lot of Sekiro, but except for the fact that I ended up playing a bunch of Hollow Knight because I was like, I'm close to the end of that game, so I'm just going to focus on that. And that spiraled into a whole week's worth of gameplay.
I'm not proud. I'm a little ashamed of this, but I'm scared of Sekiro now.
Are you now?
I'm scared of it. Like I've had a couple sessions that were just like absolutely pointless.
In Crispy's case, it's Sekiro Shadows Die 1,000 times.
Yeah, it's like
but
real
I feel
bad.
Like that's part of the experience.
It's bad. It's like I don't know. Yeah, no.
Can I ask you where you?
Yeah, I'm not any farther than I was last week. I tried to push forward a little bit and just got fucking stomped. And then I was like, I'm going back to Destiny.
Fair enough.
Are you at all interested to know where I am, Nick?
Absolutely.
Considering I wasn't here last week?
Yes, you were not here last week.
Yeah.
In fact, you probably had the most new stuff to add to the discussion, considering I didn't play enough. So please.
You just jumped to Crispy.
Sorry.
Tell
us, Brad.
God, sorry, Brad.
So I've been playing some Sekiro. I think it's pretty good.
But Crispy, how's Destiny? I'm just kidding.
Dude, Destiny's so good.
I'm just fucking with you, Brad.
I think it's pretty good. I mean, I'm not super far. I don't think I'm less far in the game than you guys were last week.
Okay.
With the exception of Crispy.
So you're still in Ashina Castle?
So, well, I'm in bouncing between two different places.
The estate.
My two options are the bull and the big drunken sword guy.
Are those your two bosses that you're stuck on, or many like bosses that you're kind of bouncing between?
I haven't even fought that drunken dude yet. Well, I fought him once, I guess.
That is like the one thing I've done progression wise since last week is fought the drunken dude and beat him and gotten past that point.
And then So yeah, I've been trying to find like a smooth difficulty arc, and I don't really know, since it's two different areas, the order of difficulty. Really, I don't want to like do a bunch of hard shit and then go to the other area and realize, oh, I probably should have done this first.
Well, I think because of the fact that this isn't necessarily an RPG, I don't treat it the same way as they do like Dark Souls.
It's
like,
not an RPG.
It's really not about you're not really gonna be like level. You're not gonna be like restricted.
Well, I mean,
you're never gonna be like excluded from an area because of your level.
Sure, but I mean, I wouldn't discount the effectiveness of some of these skills, especially the ones that give you like more health efficiency or health healing from like death blows.
Prosthetics can make a huge
that's a pretty
too.
significant thing.
I will say,
prosthetic
Brad,
upgrades.
I will say, prosthetic upgrades. But I will say, Brad, that skill you just mentioned is invaluable, and anyone who doesn't have it should go for it.
Which one?
The counter?
No, not the counter. There's a skill that allows you, when you do a death blow on an enemy, you regain
You
health.
heal, yeah. I got that because
It
I
is
grinded a little bit for
super
it.
fucking useful.
I think I just got that. I don't think I've actually used it yet, really.
So you haven't done a death blow on someone?
I mean, I think I literally unlocked it and then saved.
Okay. Gotcha.
So I unlocked something right before I saved last, and I can't remember what it was.
So-
I also got the fan and one of the other ones.
So I'd say overall, I am enjoying it. It was a little rocky at first, just because, like y'all were saying last week, it's a lot more vertical, and I was kind of getting disoriented. That first area, or the first real area you get into, it's a bunch of cliffs, and I want to like fully explore, but I keep getting lost, and I just get really frustrated because you're early on in the game, you're still learning how it works. But the more I've played, and finding the option of like unlocking all these skill trees and stuff, there's a little meat there that was a little more had become a little more satisfying to me, so I am enjoying it more. I will say though, I do get more frustrated with this game than I think I do with the Souls games, because it's very punishing, and when you're in combat, it's punishing not because you die a lot, but it's punishing because combat requires like perfection of you, and you have to like be like on like 100% of the fucking time, while the boss just has to hit you fucking twice and you're done, while you have to hit him like or parry him like 9,000 times, and it just seems like so out of whack.
The penalties that come with it are pretty high too, because a lot of times it's like you're getting sent really far back, have to do like a whole section of level again, and then this whole like dragon rot thing. Like I still don't understand dragon rot, and it scares me.
I'm just ignoring
Here's the thing. The dragon rot, unless
you can remove it.
I mean, here's the thing about dragon rot, and this is maybe this changes over time. Maybe I'm not seeing the full picture yet, but to me it seems kind of inconsequential. Mostly because all it's really doing is reducing your chance of getting of receiving unseen aid, which means that when you die, you don't lose half your shit.
It's not locking out NPCs either, because I thought it was like.
I mean, I
thought there was also like a point where if it got bad enough, like you couldn't even like talk to the sculptor.
I think it can
I think you can get to that point.
But the tier things you can either find in the world or you can buy them and you can remove it. So if it gets to the point where whatever the NPCs are, you can't interact with them anymore, just use one of those. I think at this point I have 3 of those, like I forget the item that removes dragon rot. I mean, don't get me wrong, I have like 12% unforeseen 8% chance, so it's not like there's definitely plenty of rot in the world, but I'm not at a point where I feel like I need to use one of those. And if I do, okay, now all the dragon rot's gone, and it's gonna be a while again before I get to that point, and I will probably find another one of those little teardrop things before I get to that point again.
But if you get stuck on a boss and you're dying over and over again, like having that looming in the background, knowing that I'm gonna have to waste time like looking for these items.
But I think there's a floor to as far as how far it'll drop.
Yeah, I believe so. Yes.
I hope so.
Because that bullfight, I died probably like 20, 25 times.
No one did that's for sure.
And I never hit like 0%. I was always at like I think 12% was like the lowest I got.
So one other nitpick I have kind of reminds me of my frustrations with the healing system from like Bloodborne. Like, why did they remove Estus Flask? Why do I have to grind for these healing items again? In here, the one thing that I feel like should restore or be treated more like Estus Flask is basically the quote unquote ammo for your prosthetics,
like spirit tokens.
Yeah, they're limiting how much you could take into battle. So at that point, why doesn't that restore just like your Estus Flask? Because I hate it means like when I first encounter a boss, it means I'm going to be less likely to experiment and like try out all these different tools, because I know that I'm eventually I might have to go grind for more, and that's very frustrating. I don't understand why it has to be that way, because they limit the amount you can bring into battle.
I don't disagree with you. I will say this, and this is partially because I think it took me a while, maybe longer than most people, to kind of realize how that system worked. But like, I didn't really realize the whole like using prosthetics used the emblems or whatever
The spirit tokens,
And I didn't even realize you could see how many you had on the menu. And when I finally figured that out, I looked at it and I had like 300.
Yeah, but still, it's one of those things that's like looming over your head as you're using them in battle, and it's like
to comment on that, Brad. I agree with you. I honestly don't think they should be there. I understand limiting you per run, like you have to rest to get them back. Yeah. And while I agree with Nick that right now I have like 280 or something, I have plenty of them. I usually earn more than I use, but it's been a little while since I've been on a boss that I've been having to struggle with.
I mean,
but I agree with you that it is looming. When I'm in a boss fight, I'm like, oh shit, do I want to use it now? I might run out.
Yeah, it's like, oh, maybe I should get good at this boss before I start using my items, right?
It kind of forces you to be less reliant on the prosthetic, which is weird because it's like the main mechanic of the game, right?
You need to be reliant on them, right? I mean,
like I went for a long time without using much of like.
Well, but
I was brute forcing.
Fun. I never want to limit myself because.
Oh, I get it. I don't either.
And I never want to have to go grind.
I agree with you, Brad. I think that should be an unlimited resource.
Yeah, the other items can be limited. Yeah. You know, like Neo did that. Well, you know, so Neo. So Neo did that, right? Where you could both have items that, like, literally you could have, like, when you buy like a skill, you can like spend extra points to like have like a restorable version of them that restores when you rest. Yeah. And then there's a version of them that you could just find in the world, and those are depletable, right? And if you want. And you want to have a bunch, you can equip both the restorable ones and the depletable ones in battle and kind of make that decision if I want to keep using the depletable ones to keep using the skill. But no, I can at least use this many because I know these are going to restore when I die. Yeah. You know, it also, Salt and Sanctuary did that with, you know, more than just a healing. There was restorable stuff. And it's not like those games are fucking easy. They're both fucking a kick in the nuts, right? But you stressed out less about that kind of thing because it wasn't like, oh, I got to go grind because I got my ass kicked a bunch and I got to get more. Which is what happened in Bloodborne with healing items.
I will say that Green Goddamn has a point of it's this weird new system that you kind of have to get used to. Of when I die, I'm going to lose half my money. So maybe before I go into this boss fight, I'm just going to spend a shit ton of my money on spirit tokens.
Yeah, which is what I do.
Or so I mean, you're earning something, and then you're not losing that money.
Well, give me something more interesting to buy.
Later on, at least where I'm at, I've been finding some interesting stuff to buy.
There was a whole prosthetic that I got by.
I mean, you're investing them. It's like oh, you know, I'm gonna lose all my money, so let's just buy a bunch of fucking stamps because I'm gonna probably need them anyways. Yes, and the enemy's not gonna take my stamps when I die. You know, it's correct. Stamps. I'd say overall though, I am it's not a knock against this game, and I know this is not a Souls game, but I do prefer the more RPG elements. It's not just the RPG elements. I prefer, you know, equipment and trying new weapons and rings and stuff and builds, you know. I like the variety of approaching like a Souls game or Neo like the way I want, right? Like if you look at Neo, like look at all those different cool ninja weapons, right? Like, but here you just have the sword and it's like,
I think that's going to be like a personal preference thing because like
but preference what? I mean, who would prefer to have less weapons?
Let me put it to you this way, man. Like, Dark Souls, one of my favorite games of all time, and I still remember the moment that I got, like, hooked. The moment that I was like, I'm going to play this game through to the end. And it was when I beat that fucking Bell Gargoyle, like, the first Bell Gargoyle, and he dropped a gargoyle helmet, and I was like, I put it on, and I was like, that's it. That's it. Like, this
don't take that
cool.
stuff for granted. Like, that stuff is amazing.
Don't
get
me wrong.
I would obsess over, like, those kinds of like stats and like, oh, I'm gonna put on this ring, now I'm gonna put on this piece of armor, and now I'm gonna be able to fast roll, you know, like that meta is what made those games like so addictive for me. Right. And I know not everybody cares about that stuff. I know you like to spend less time in menus, and that might be why this game is more fun for you.
That is exactly what it is.
But for me, I feel like I mean, this has the stuff, some of the stuff I really like about Souls games, but it's missing a lot of the other things. And I was sort of an outlier when Bloodborne came out because I actually prefer Bloodborne. I actually prefer all the Souls games over Bloodborne because Bloodborne was less of an RPG. You didn't really have all these crazy rings and equipment. Everything was pretty much the same. You just put on what looked cool in Bloodborne,
I mean,
right?
right.
There wasn't a lot
Right.
of weapons, and I understand why that didn't bother a lot of people, but it bothered me because I like all that crunchy stuff, and here there's even less of it.
Yeah.
So like if From Software goes forward and it's just Bloodborne and it's just this series, and all of a sudden they don't have like that heavy RPG anymore, I'd be really disappointed.
I don't think that's necessarily something to worry about, though. I feel like this literally is just them trying to experiment outside of their what they
Sure, but if we want to believe them and say Souls is actually gone, then that big meaty RPG is kind of not there anymore.
But I will say
Unless
this.
Bloodborne leans into more of an
That's what I'm
RPG
saying.
system.
Like, that's my theory, is that even though Dark Souls might be like that series as a series might be over, like when we finally inevitably see Bloodborne 2, I wouldn't be surprised if it feels more like Dark Souls than Bloodborne 1 did. Like
I
in
hope
terms
so.
of the stats, in terms of the loot, in terms of the RPG
I wouldn't be
mechanics.
surprised either.
I'm really enjoying this game from
I
that.
want rings. I want to equip 4 rings.
I'm really enjoying this game because of the fact that like I wasn't sure what an action game from Software would feel like, and like the fact that this is a little bit less. I am spending a lot less time worrying about stats and menus and whatnot, and it's purely about the action and like getting really really good at like Twitch-based combat, like that stuff.
But you don't even have
is-
the choice.
I know you don't have a choice, and you know that doesn't bother me. To me, it feels refreshing. If this became like the sole thing that they do now,
I don't think that's going to be the case,
I might be
though.
a little bummed overall, but I think since this is the only thing we've really seen like this from them, I think this is really a really cool departure.
Well, what I like most is the verticality. I like the movement.
Oh my god!
But like
dude,
that's
the
what's really
traversal.
great. The fact that you can like jump and stuff is, it's new for these guys.
Yeah.
So that's really great.
And that grappling hook is like
Oh, it's amazing.
so good.
Love
I
it.
I do still think maybe I prefer like the combat in Neo just because you have like all these stances and all these weapon types and it's like
Dude,
spells
honestly,
and stuff.
Brent,
It's really fun.
I got overwhelmed with the stances. There was times where I would get
Yeah,
flustered because
yeah,
I wouldn't
mean,
realize
yeah.
what stance I was in, or I'd mess it
No,
up.
sure,
and
sure.
like,
I think.
But
once you-
again, I played that for 70 hours.
Yeah.
This
once
is
you,
not really
once
that.
you really pick and kind of commit to like a certain weapon type in Neo, you really start to like be able to pay more attention to stances and stuff like that, and it
Yeah.
becomes less overwhelming when you're switching between a bunch of different kinds of stuff and trying to remember,
What all
what
the
you're
movesets
bouncing about.
are.
Yeah, like that can get super overwhelming.
Neo is almost too,
I'm really
too
see. Here's the
meaty.
thing: when we finally get Neo 2, which is cool because we know that's coming. Like, I'm hoping we get Neo 2, which has more of like the like you said, the crunchy combat that we love about Dark Souls. But like, I hope it has more like open world design like this, because that's probably one of my favorite parts about this. game,
that's one of the best parts about this game.
like this is. I wouldn't call this open world per se in the same sense as like you would call like Breath of the Wild an open world
I would
game,
call
but-
this more similar to Dark Souls than any any of the other From
the
Software
first
games.
Dark
The first
Souls,
one, yes.
yeah.
I'm saying than any of the other ones since.
Yeah.
This is definitely this world is extremely open. The only thing that's limiting you in most cases is you defeat a boss and now a whole other section, or the ability to backtrack and the ways you kind of like rework towards other areas that you've been to before, and now there's different enemies there, and
Oh, that reminds me, 'cause
the
I-
world feels alive to me.
Because Crispy mentioned a minute ago about how sometimes you die and you get sent back really far. I'm surprised by when you like start to when you're like I'm not gonna fight bosses or whatever. I'm just gonna like focus on exploring and like peeking around every corner and everything. Like there are a ton of those sculptures everywhere.
Yeah.
So like
Sculptures?
yeah, your
The shrines.
like
The
shrines,
shrines,
like your bonfires basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like they're everywhere to the point where like there's one area I know there's like 3 bonfires within like a minute of just like a short walk.
I think I'm
Each other.
still kind of early. It still feels a little linear to me, but
It
It
definitely
definitely
opens up.
up.
Okay.
As soon as you get kind of into the castle, right? You said you got the bull, right?
Yeah.
Dude, as soon as you defeat that bull, holy shit, the world fucking opens like crazy.
So, I wish I had played more of this since last week, so I could have more.
Dude, I have a
new
lot
stuff
more
to say
opinions.
about it.
I've defeated like 3 bosses since
So are you
last
still?
time.
Oh, wait, you're still in Ashina.
So I'm still in Ashina, but dude, there's so much to do there. And like I said, in some of the footage you saw me doing from last time, you saw me kind of backtracking and fighting other enemies. I've gotten a lot of new what are the prosthetics since then? Different way. I have one that like poisons enemies.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff like that. And
that fan that you can buy.
Yeah, the fan that like
that
a shield
is
thing.
kind of a game changer.
Yeah.
Too.
What does that do?
You literally like hold it like it opens up like an iron
Yeah.
shield. It's like
What?
Captain America's shield.
I know
so,
what
like,
it is.
You just like get
to
fucking
block
wailed on.
projectiles and also
not
to
even
deflect.
that big drunk
deflect.
dude that
But I
swings
mean,
around that
but
giant
doesn't your
sword.
sword do that?
I mean, you have to time it perfectly. This you can literally just hold it, and he
Yeah.
just holds it out, and then just takes it.
No, but you can just hold the sword like a shield.
You
Yeah,
can
but you
hold
take
it,
damage.
parry.
If you're not like if you're not like timing
If you
your
hold, he'll
deflects-
just hold.
From
Yes.
projectiles?
What I'm saying
No,
is, if
from-
you were
from
fighting
when
like
someone
if you're
melee
fighting
hits
like
you.
a tough, like a
One
bigger
of the bigger
enemy
ones,
who's
yeah.
like wailing on you with like a huge
A
thing,
beefy boy?
Even if
Yes.
if you're fighting like a beefy boy and you're blocking, just holding the block button, you may be blocking, but if you
Take a lot of
notice,
posture damage.
you're taking health damage.
take
Okay,
some
so
health
you
damage.
don't take. Oh, you take health damage.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, so
Huh.
when you
With the
use-
sword.
when
You're
you
just
use
not
the
taking
shield,
stance damage.
When you use the shield, it like takes the full force of the
So
hit.
does it use your resource though? Your ammo?
No, I'm not really. I haven't used it enough. I'm not really sure what
Your
limits.
token?
Yeah.
I'm
I don't
not
think
sure
I
either.
don't think it has a token.
Yeah, I
cost.
feel like you have so many cool tools that
You do have a lot.
it'd be so. I feel like it'd be a lot more fun if it wasn't tied to a resource.
Yeah, I agree.
All your gadgets.
That's true. I mean, the thing is, once you start learning it's not just about prosthetics though. You're also learning all like combat arts a lot.
Yeah.
And at first, you can only equip one special combat art at a time, but you eventually unlock the ability to have a second one. And then you're learning on top of that, just like like combos and counters and special moves and stuff that don't use any resources. So like it's a pretty robust combat system.
But it almost feels like a holdover from the Souls games, right? Where y'all almost described this as like just a character action game, but I feel like that element feels rooted in the other games. The fact that your tools are tied to ammo.
Yeah.
That you have to go farm for or whatever.
One thing we haven't really talked about is that so From Software has a history with another series that I'm a huge fan of, or not a huge fan anymore because I haven't played it in a long time. But now I was going to say Tenchu. So there's a lot of elements.
They used to make Tenchu.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I never actually played any of the Tenchu games that I think From Software had.
Tenchu Z. I think
stopped. I played
Software?
Tenchu 1, 2, and 3, and then stopped.
Okay.
So, but I know they have a history with the series, and there are certain moments where I'm playing this, and I'm like, when you push yourself up against a wall and you kind of like look around, and you guys like, holy shit, this feels like a fucking Tenchu game.
Yeah.
Like that's really cool.
The stealth element's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing you didn't really do
You
in
feel like
Souls
ninjas.
games.
Oh yeah, I feel like a shinobi. I definitely feel it.
Yeah.
So good.
Believe it.
I love the sneaking around and creeping up on enemies and taking them out, and then distracting a guy and sneaking up behind him to kill him. And I was kind of talking about it a bit with Brad before, in that I've started revisiting a couple of areas I've already been. One, to kind of just grind a little bit just so I can get some money and stuff. At one point, I was trying to get a new skill and get some money, but also just because I know that the world changes.
See, by the way, in that footage, if you were seeing he was blocking, he was taking damage that entire time.
Yes. But yeah, and I was telling Brad that it's similar to a Souls game, but to a greater extent. I feel like now that I've kind of gotten better at the combat, I'm easily taking out not just one or two dudes, but like I'll be in combat with 4 dudes at a time, and I can get out of there unscathed. Now that I've gotten a better grasp of the combat and knowing when I don't need to stand there and block, I can jump, I can dodge, I can do this, I'll use this skill, I'll parry this guy and then turn around and hit this other guy and then turn back and get a death blow, stuff like that. I feel like I've gotten much better at the game. And while I still approach new areas with a bit of caution, I mean, I'm thinking back to the original Dark Souls when I would fucking just hold my shield out constantly because I was goddamn scared. I still approach new areas in this game with caution, but anytime I backtrack, I fucking walk in there like I'm the fucking new kid on campus. I'm just fucking running in, killing dudes. I don't care, kill this guy, whatever. And it feels really good to be able to just, have that better understanding. Yeah, I'm not as scared when I'm going back to those other places. And like once again, it's not necessarily about knowing where the guys are. It's more that I understand how I can tackle them.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I still feel like I'm like nowhere in this game. I still feel like there's so much more left.
So yeah, I'm gonna try and play a lot more of this before our next show. But
I was intending to stream this tomorrow, but something else came to my attention.
Oh, is that the thing that you were in Discord talking about earlier?
Oh, the Grimrock.
Talk about it later.
Yeah.
Cool. Is there anything else we want to say about Sekiro this week, or are we good for now?
Yeah, this game sucks. Let's move on.
All right.
Not that I
I'm
can
glad
think
we all are in agreement.
No,
This
I'm
game
joking.
totally blows.
I'm actually gonna go play this tonight if I can.
Sweet. I will mention my plan was to play a shit ton of Sekiro this week, and I did play some. But I've hit this kind of point where I'm like juggling a bunch of different games, and I was like, I need to like knock one of them out.
Yeah.
And I got this feeling. I was like I am like so close to the end of Hollow Knight. It's basically over. I just need to go finish it. And I pushed through to get to the final boss of Hollow Knight. I've done a pretty good. I'm at like 85% completion or something in this game, and I've done a pretty good amount of stuff. But I got to that final boss, and it is a bitch.
Yeah.
It's one of those situations where they make you fight a boss, which is pretty easy, and then they without giving you a chance to save first, they throw you into another boss fight, which is like the fucking hardest thing in the fucking world. So every time I die, I have to restart the whole thing, fight the first boss.
bosses.
Yes, 2 bosses. So I've discovered that I can kind of like where I'm at right now. I can kind of do maybe 3 attempts before my frustration level peaks, and I just start doing worse, like just going downhill. So I have to take large.
I will
breaks.
say though, like we sort of gave you, we're like, hey, do this, look up a guide so you can unlock that.
I mean,
that real final boss. But like, I feel like that stuff is actually for people who also fully explored the world, got all the upgrades, got all the stuff
I mean,
that's
here's the
really
thing.
worth it.
There was not a lot that I was told to do to get this final boss that I hadn't already done or already started.
True. But
So it wasn't.
But I'm saying, like, theoretically, like, it was designed for someone who really kind of really poked at all the edges of the world, right? You know, like, who didn't use the guy. But in theory, like, that's also the same person that had already gotten all the upgrades that maybe you're lacking right
You
now.
haven't earned it, Nick. You cheated your way to the top.
That's not
you cheated.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the balance for that fight is more for the person who got closer to 100%.
But let me just
Cheater,
tell you,
you made your bed, now lie in it.
let me just tell you, like, I've done my fair amount of research on the boss that I'm stuck on. I've kind of compared it to what I have, seen what I don't have that people recommend, which is only a couple things. One of which I need to fully upgrade my nail, so I'm doing the max amount of damage. And I probably could use another.
You got that spell though, right?
Oh yeah, that spell.
Yeah, there's a magic build.
There's an attack you had that lets you like attack upwards, right?
Yeah.
The big magic thing, and you can upgrade that, and it does like massive damage to the point where like as soon as the boss fight happens or starts, the
You
final
just
boss fight,
spam it.
and
Yeah.
it instantly gets you to the second phase.
Yeah.
So it's like invaluable.
Yeah.
So yes, I've gotten that, but I've fought that boss probably 20 times, and there's a phase when you're getting close, which is probably like the halfway point, honestly. The platforms start coming out, so you can jump up the platforms. I've only gotten to that part once, and I died, and I almost threw my fucking controller. Like, it was bad.
I mean, it's fucking hard.
It's also hard because it's the only enemy in the game that is not like lava. Like, you know what I mean? I'm saying he's there. He takes up like most of the screen, and it's okay. You can basically touch him without taking damage, which is so different from everything else in the fucking.
Because he's like light, right?
Wait, what? I cooled down a little bit, and I decided I'm just going to do a couple things that I think will make it a little bit easier. I've gotten to the point where I think I have his patterns down. It just sucks because I was like, I'm going to finish this game so I can cross it off my list, and then I'm only playing 2 games at a time. And I just ended up spending my entire week trying to fucking brute force my way through this boss fight, and it was not cool.
All these people are, I mean, fucking Hollow Knight and Sekiro and Devil May Cry or Devil May Cry 3. Everyone's talking about these fucking hard ass games, you know? The real hard shit to come out this year is Baba Is You. That game is fucking impossible.
I am so stuck on that.
It's so hard.
I swear to God, the past 4 nights, I've gotten in bed. I start playing it, like, 10 minutes later, I'm like, I'm done. Like, I'm fucking done. I don't even know what the fuck this game wants
It's more exhausting than
from
any
me.
boss in Sekiro,
Yes.
dude.
You know what's funny? Like, I was in Discord the other night talking to a bunch of people who were trying to like talk me off the ledge, right, about Hollow Knight, and somebody, I think it was Chai Tai, was like, Nick, just cool off, just put down Hollow Knight for now, go play with something else, go relax. And I was like, okay, I'll play one of the other 2 games that I'm playing, Sekiro and Devil May Cry 3. I was like, what the fuck have I done to myself? I played like the 3 fucking hardest games.
Damn.
Oh my god.
Also, Ace Combat's hard.
And sorry,
So-
the other game on that list is Kingdom Hearts 2, and I decided I'm not going
game's
from
easy.
I'm not going from one end of the
Kingdom
spectrum to
Hearts
the other.
3 is like a super baby game. So if you want something chill and easy, play that.
I am almost to the end of Kingdom Hearts 2.
Super babies.
But no,
It's pretty-
so
it is- I can't even believe there's a block mechanic in Kingdom Hearts 2 because
Yes.
I've never used it.
Yeah. So Brett, I don't know. I didn't put that on the doc. The fact that I've been playing Baba Is You, but I looked up the solution to a level because I was stuck on it for so long.
Yeah.
And I was like, not in a million years would I have figured that out. Like there's no way I would have thought to do
Yeah, you're
this.
so dumb.
No, I felt dumb, but it's just one of those things where it's like there's
There's no like real build up either.
No,
like,
there's
like, you,
not.
like if you're doing the like playing like the Witness or whatever,
It kinda
there's like a
slowly
series of
teaches
10 puzzles, right?
Yeah.
But like every level in Baba's U is like a completely new like
new concepts,
Yeah.
new different words that change how the word. And it's like I have no fucking no idea. Like no idea what I'm supposed to do.
I will say this about like you brought up the Witness. I think that might be the most graceful like progression of like
Oh yeah.
like the most graceful teaching of a puzzle game
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Brett, have
Like,
you
it's
done
incredible.
have you done the one with the two rocks that teleport?
no.
Dude, it's like in the third world.
Yeah.
Dude, it's tough as shit. There's like leaves, then you touch them, they die. And when you push a rock, it teleports it. Like,
Maybe I have.
Dude, I'm
I haven't
fucking
played
stuck
it
as
in, like,
shit
a
on
week.
that one right now. All right. Anyway, sorry.
All right.
Bob As You is fun, but it's hard.
Any other like small mentions we want to throw out there?
Those
Crispy?
are the only two games I've
Crispy?
been playing.
Dude,
I've been
Been
Destiny
playing a lot of
Forsaken's really cool, man. Like, I'm doing like Dreaming City stuff in the Blind Well, and it's really cool.
I had an opportunity. I've had a lot of opportunities to squeeze in a little bit of Sekiro here and there, but I've been playing way too much Slay the Spire.
Slay the
That
Spire. I saw
game
you playing
is
that
also
the other day.
fucking hard. That game is. I mean, I can't stop playing Slay
What's
the
all these
Spire.
hard games?
I can't stop playing it. It's addictive, and I honestly spend a lot of like the time time killing shit, like watching a YouTube video, watching people play Slay the Spire.
That's ridiculous.
Nice.
Crispy, do you have like a group that you play with, or are you playing solo? Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a few friends that I play with, but I mean, I've been doing a lot of solo stuff too, just when our schedules don't match up. But
I'm also itching to get back to the Division. Speaking of Destiny,
grinding out all the exotic quests, doing some public events, getting ready for the raid, hitting those heroic blind well runs. No big deal.
I don't know what any of that means.
just nod and agree.
Wow.
All right. I think. I was gonna really quickly mention that I started Devil May Cry 3 because we're doing, like I said, we're doing that for the Revival Club this month.
Yep.
But I'm only done a couple missions because I've had a pretty busy week. I plan to go more in depth into it this weekend, but that game, I'm really worried this whole like playing Devil May Cry 3 is gonna just kind of devolve into like a comparison between Devil May Cry 3 and 5 because they are so. We just played 5 and now we're playing 3, that kind of thing. And I don't want it to devolve into that. But, like, man, the opening cutscene in Devil May Cry 3 is better than anything in Devil May Cry 5. As far as, like,
Really?
choreograph.
Yeah.
Like, all the quote-unquote cool shit that they do in Devil May Cry 5 doesn't hold a fucking candle to the opening
when I was
cutscene.
in-
He gets, like, impaled by, like 5 different, what do you
Penises.
The size.
sickles,
Size, yeah,
and then
sickles.
just like proceeds to walk around the room with them stuck in him and like hitting
He's,
dudes
like,
he's
using one broken off in his arm to
So like,
Yeah,
so
dude,
so that
fucking
that
awesome.
that cutscene choreographer or that cutscene director, like he does all the Bayonetta stuff. He's done all the Devil May Cry stuff. Since three is like still the pinnacle. The cutscenes in that game are so cool. The characters are so cool.
The part of that cutscene where he like slams down on the pool table and all the pool balls fly by his head, and then he like shoots one with the gun and it just like fucking ricochets and hits all. Like when I was in 9th grade, that was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
When I was
Like-
32, that was the coolest shit I've
Yeah,
ever seen.
it's a little cheesy now, but
Yes, it is, but it's also fucking cool. I had like a stupid fucking like I had a grin on my face the entire time I was watching that cutscene the other day. And I was like, I don't think I felt this way watching the opening
Didn't he,
cutscene
like
in Devil May
spin
Cry
a
5.
pizza around on his finger or something. Like, I remember pizza being involved.
Oh, there was definitely a pizza involved at that in that opening cutscene. But man, it's so
Size and pizza.
Oh,
It's
that's
also
what it was.
Ninja
He like
Turtles.
catches all the
Yeah.
pizza, like he kills them all, and then like
the
pizza
guy
flo-
flips
like-
the table
yeah,
that has
yeah.
the pizza on it, and like he does a backflip,
So stupid.
and then like pulls out his gun and like aims it around the room, like looks around for a second, and it's like literally like it's like probably like 5 to 8 seconds of him just like pointing the gun at nothing, and then he like puts it back and then holds out the box and the pizza like falls out. It's like, what? How does that work?
Yeah.
I don't care. It's fucking.
Oh, he was also the cutscene dude on Onimusha 3.
Ooh, dude, the opening cutscene of Onimusha, the opening CG cutscene of Onimusha 3 is fucking insane.
So he's. Have you ever seen the movie Versus?
Yes.
He's the action director for that movie. That's like it's like a kind of a cult classic Japanese movie from like 2000 or whatever. It's like a zombie samurai movie or whatever. It's like insane.
Anyways, I just wanted to bring that up. I'm still super early in Devil May Cry 3. I know a lot of people in our Discord channel have been talking about playing it as well. It's great. I know some people, I think there's one guy in chat, I can't remember who it is, who's like already beaten it. But hey, it's a shorter game. But you know what? I'm happy that some people are jumping in and playing it together. So we're like I said, we'll be playing that all month. If you want to play it along with us and talk about it with us for the bonus podcast, jump in there. There's still plenty of time. In fact, somebody posted a deal in Discord today. It's apparently the HD collection for Devil May Cry is on sale on GOG. I want to say not a huge sale. I think it's like $16 instead of $20. But hey, it's on sale, so check that out.
Cool.
Anybody opposed to taking a break now?
Oh, real quickly before that break, I just want to mention my Slay the Spire hours. Granted, might be a little inflated from idling. It is, but on Steam, it's already over my Darkest Dungeon time, my Tekken 7 time, my Mountain Blade time.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's unhealthy.
What's the number?
Higher than FTL.
6 hours.
120.
120?
That's
Yeah.
a decent amount.
Yeah.
Holy
Higher than Divinity Original Sin 1.
Damn.
But there's some idling time because I play it on my phone and I leave
Brad.
it on. But yeah.
It's going to be a while before you hit that 700-hour mark. You got to catch up to Chris Davis.
Chris Davis just called you a scrub for not playing a game for 800 hours.
Well, a non-multiplayer game. I guess.
It's stupid that I can say 800 hours and I'm not even like it's not even hyperbole. It's
Yeah,
like
but
literally-
that's like a fucking MMO kind of sort of situation.
That is
though.
true, but-
It doesn't even count.
Did you hear, Brett? I'm playing The Division.
Yeah, I'm not interested in hearing you talk about that at all.
Oh,
Sorry, but I mean, I'm not interested in hearing anybody talk about any version of The Division. So don't feel offended or anything.
well, I am offended. Let's take a break. When we come back, we have some news to go over. I know we're going to talk a little bit about these rumors revolving around some new Nintendo Switch models that could be happening. Some
Nintendo Switch news came out in the last hour, too.
Oh, the Labo thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. There's some potentially interesting leaks coming out of Best Buy, which might be of interest to you. So if you're watching us live, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Boy, do we have a lot of news to cover this week. The first one, I'm going to jump straight to the one that Brad put forth last week, but we didn't get a chance to talk about.
Yeah, I was mad y'all didn't talk about it.
I know. He
I blame
made
Chris
us very
Davis.
aware that he was upset that we didn't talk about this last week.
Well,
I didn't know this was a topic.
Well,
It's-
it was. I made an overlay for it, everything, and we skipped it.
yeah, I mean, it's Wall Street Journal reporting.
Brad, can you say what the topic is?
Reporting that there's 2 new Switch models in
Damn it! I knew this.
that
was
that
gonna
could be out as early as this summer.
So
And the 2 versions are like a pro version, basically.
happen. Like for home.
That's expensive and more powerful. I mean, it's still a Switch.
on the go,
Yeah, but the other one's a portable version.
So, and the other one is rumored to be reported on to be a cheaper, more portable focused version. I'm guessing
Like
Without-
it doesn't
without a
what
dock.
that means is, it wouldn't come with a dock. May not even have that functionality built in, although I can't imagine how expensive it is. I heard comparisons maybe to even like the 2DS
Oh, wow.
version of like cheap and for kids.
Yeah.
So, Brad, I've been
the
talking about
controllers
this coming for a while, and I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
And I hoped it came sooner than it did, in all honesty.
I mean, I'm not ready for it.
Mainly just because I want a more powerful Switch. Like, I don't like that when I'm undocked, I'm at 720p. Like, I want to fucking play at 1080p all the time.
So even though this isn't like obviously announced or anything, it's been kind of long rumored and from a lot of different sources that something like this is coming, and probably this year. But it's still obviously worthy of discussion, right?
Yeah.
So where are we at? Like, what are we okay with? How much more powerful does it need to be for everybody here to like want to get one? And how much more powerful does it have to be to where everyone's kind of bummed out about the Switches they have right now?
I will tell you this: the only
because
time,
I was kind of like that about the PlayStation.
I
and
won't.
stuff.
I'm still perfectly happy with my Switch experience so far.
You say that now.
What I'm saying. Let me finish. Let me finish. The only thing that will make me consider, even start to think about getting a new, more powerful Switch, is if they release a game that I must play that is obviously going to run smoother on that platform. Right now, we have things like Pokemon coming out. We have things like Metroid Prime on the horizon. But like,
Nick, look at this bezel. Look at this ugly ass. This is 2019. This bezel is insulting.
That does not
Bezel?
bother me.
Imagine,
bezel
but they
of
show a
Switch.
picture of one
how, like-
that's like has no bezel,
Yeah. Ooh, a bezel-less Switch.
and you're buying it day one.
So Nick,
you.
Nick,
I'm
hold
not
on,
buying
hold
it
on,
day
hold
one.
on.
I don't.
Nick, this is one of my complaints that
if
I've
they
had.
release if they release Metroid Prime 4 on and then that says it runs better on the Switch Pro on the day the Switch Pro comes out.
Breath
yes,
of the
I'll buy it
Wild
day
at
one.
60 frames a
They
second.
should
How about
call
that?
it the Switch.
It runs like shit.
I played Breath of the Wild for 60 plus hours on my normal Switch and had a
Nick,
fine time.
they've been. This has been my complaint for Nintendo, and Nintendo. I hope you're watching. I know you always watch the podcast. That one of my biggest complaints with Nintendo is every time they come out with a new console, it's so fucking underpowered, and so no one wants to put any games on it besides Nintendo. And don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Hold on. Don't get me wrong. There are some fantastic indie games that don't need a whole lot of power, but the problem is there are certain games that definitely don't run as well as they should, and there are definitely third-party developers who are like, I'm not going to waste my time even trying to make a Switch port of this game. I want to be able to play fucking every game. I want to be able to play Sekiro on my Switch. You know what I'm saying? I want the console to be powerful enough that could be my main console.
I
could be
don't
your
think
one-stop
it's
shop.
going to be that
Brett,
kind of
hold on.
jump. And
I know it's not going to be that powerful.
their
I know,
history.
but I'm saying they never seem to even try.
Well, there was the new 3DS,
Well, that's not the
which
rest-
was a power boost.
I know it was a power boost,
But Nintendo did a very poor job of supporting it.
But I think-
there was only a couple of games. There was like that Xenoblade game that could only be run on new 3DS. There was that Hyrule Warriors that ran like shit
It did,
if you
yes.
didn't have the new 3DS. And then there's the Super Nintendo games for some reason. But after that, but beyond that, the support for the new 3DS was kind of shitty. What if this powerful version does come out? It looks nice, but Nintendo does a really shitty job of supporting it, of that power boost.
Yes, that would suck.
That
I
would
agree.
kind of suck, right?
My,
Their
but
history's not good.
my statement to that is, this is not 7 years into the Nintendo Switch's life. The Switch has been out, what, 2 years now?
2 years.
This is really early in the
the 2
Switch's
years
life.
thing. I mean, when they were talking about the PS4 Pro, back when we were first talking about it, it came into this. We sort of started having this conversation about this scary like 2 year
Brad,
power cycle future, and I feel like we might already be getting there with if this boost really is kind of a
don't
pro
get me
level
wrong,
of
Brad.
boost.
To that extent, first of all, I don't think the new Swatch is going to be $500. First of all,
It's probably gonna be the same. It's probably.
I
gonna
mean,
be,
it could be a little bit more.
I
I
know,
mean,
it might- I'm-
like look at the Xbox One X. The price went up, right?
The
but that's what I'm saying. Is the PS4 Pro when it came out, it was more expensive. I'm not saying it's not going to be more expensive. I'm just saying the level of expensive is very different. When you're coming from what was the PS4 when it first came out, 400,
400.
and
Wait,
then you
when
went
it
to
first
500.
came out? Oh,
Oh, no,
PS4.
PS4. Yeah, and the Nintendo Switch is what, 300, 350,
300.
300. I could see this being like 350.
Yeah, I mean, I would.
Yeah, I mean, maybe
Switches are already coming down in price.
Maybe the story is this like portable kid safe version one. You know, maybe
I think that one's going to sell a lot.
like maybe
Yeah.
they're just gonna do like very slight like quality of life upgrades to the Switch, but not really change it like the chipset or anything.
Mhm.
And the big news is just that like, hey, we've got this cheaper version. The Joy-Cons don't come off, and it's just 720p and it's no dock. You know.
Yeah,
I mean that would be. Here's the thing, dude. No, I think
What's up?
I think it's that whole dream scenario of like Nintendo making a console that can
Don't get me wrong.
that's just not.
I know it's not going to be as
cards.
powerful as a PS4 Pro or an Xbox One
I don't
X.
even think Nintendo wants that or is interested in it at all.
But that's what I'm saying. I also don't want them to compete with the PS4 Pro. I just don't want them to put out a console that is so underpowered that the thought of it running a game at 60 frames a second at 1080p is just not feasible.
Sure, that's fair. I don't know. I mean, are we expecting this to be also like improvements to things like the Joy-Cons themselves?
I hope so.
Yeah, those Joy-Cons are...
You know what I
wondering-
want? I want
like,
the Joy-Con to not
them-
fucking feel like I'm going to break it off.
I'm like, what's to stop them from selling an upgraded Switch by literally just selling the screen? Like, the part that goes in between the Joy-Cons with no dock, nothing, just an improved...
What if they just sell a box?
Nick, the only reason I could see that not happening is because I think a lot of people would get confused and buy that and be like, I can't use it. Nintendo seems to, as of late, be selling less SKUs of their products.
Yeah, that's true.
Back in the day, they used to have so many different 3DS colors and all this stuff. And the Switch, there haven't honestly been that many.
I mean, I think that's worked to their advantage.
You know what I want to see? I want to see an attachment for the Switch that slides on top and it has a screen that flips down and it's a big magnifying glass.
Oh, God.
Do you remember that for the Game Boy?
Yes, I remember that. Trying to play
so you
fucking
just have-
Pokemon.
Yeah, and then you could get the little thing that had like the speakers that folded down on the
Yes.
side. Man,
Yes.
It's just that situation where...
And the little plug-in that's a little light, the little
Serious.
lamp.
I fucking hate these half steps. If Metroid Prime comes out and I feel like I can't play the best version of that even though I already own the Nintendo system, that's the kind of shit that pisses me off.
No, I got
I
you.
don't want to feel like the system that I bought that I spent hundreds of dollars on is shit.
I
And
agree.
like, I think of the Super Nintendo, and a Super Nintendo is a Super Nintendo is a fucking Super Nintendo. You have a Super Nintendo. You're playing all Super Nintendo games to the best of their ability. And like, I have a lot of those old consoles, and it feels good.
That day and age is over.
And I think my fucking 10 years from now, my PS4 is still going to be the shitty version of the PS4 that. If I'm a collector or if I'm a an archivist, if I want to play the old stuff, I now feel like I'm playing a subpar version of the game.
Brad's reaction to the whole half measure or half step thing, console generation, is the equivalent of how I feel about physical discs.
But Brad,
his level of reaction to it is like my level equivalent of my distaste for the decline of physical media.
Brad, to that note, I will say that technology nowadays is changing a lot more different than it used to. And also, technology back then was a lot simpler. You literally had a motherboard with a bunch of chips on it, and you slid the cartridge in, and that was it. I mean, if you look at... Do you honestly think your PS4 is going to be working in 10 years?
I mean...
I know, I hope it does, too.
Yeah.
But my PS3 is dead. Like,
I got
there's
old
nothing.
systems
I got
up
the
there.
yellow light of death. There's not really anything I can do about it besides maybe taking the whole thing apart and trying to resolder it is the only real. But that's what I'm saying. Consoles have become so much more complex, but because of that, it is so much easier to have these incremental upgrades because you can just literally keep the motherboard, change a bunch of the chipsets. All of a sudden, it's a much better console for honestly not that big of a price jump or change, but it's a lot easier to do that. Back then, the technology wasn't there that you could so easily change it.
I mean, I don't really care the reason why. I just wish they would have like stuck it out and then did the PS5 or the Switch 2 and not have these half measures, which still the old version still kind of technically play the games, just not that well. That's where I'm bummed out. I don't want to play Metroid Prime 4.
They aren't doing this necessarily for you. They're doing it for A, people who just have a shit ton of money to spend, and B, for the people who actually don't play games that much. Because it's a casual gamer who honestly is still out there with a PS3. And they're going to announce this new PS4, Ultra, whatever, the new Switch, and they're going to be like, oh, you know what? I have been hearing good things about this. There's finally a bunch of games out. Oh, I'll check this new one out. You know what I'm saying? There are definitely people out there who don't always buy the latest thing, and they skip generations. And, those people with a shit ton of money, and then the people who skip generations, those are going to be a lot of the people who buy this. The more casual, not say casual, but I want to say
understand the business reason.
But I also think, like, because of the nature of like what it's like to develop hardware these days, and people who are developing the hardware, once they release a console, like their work doesn't stop; they continue working, and it's just gotten to the point where they can make so many like larger technological leaps faster to the point where it's like, if we can get it to market that fast, why not get it to market that fast? You know what I mean? Like, we have the technology. Why would we hold on to it for 2 more years before we sell it when we could put it out now? And
They've
start making
always
money on
had.
it?
I mean, technologies for the past forever advances really fast. But like, there was a time when it was like Nintendo would just put out a slimmer version or a lighter version or a different screen size, but the game would always run the same.
I get it.
And like development would be consistent, you know? Like it's the fact that like maybe Sekiro is optimized for the more powerful system and it kind of leaves the people in the dust, you know, that have the launch version and it's still hundreds of dollars.
I mean, to be fair, I'm playing Sekiro on the launch version.
I know, just an example.
And it runs fine.
Sure. But, you know,
Brad,
that wasn't necessarily
I
the
think,
case
for... Hold on. And I will say, I think to that statement, and this is something we talked about with the 3DS, and this is something we talked about with the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. In all honesty, I don't think the jumps in quality is so much that unless you are comparing them side by side, you'll even notice. Don't get me wrong. Like, dude, honestly, I have a 4K TV, and I have a PS4 Pro. A lot of the time, I'm playing my games in 1080p. Because I have my PS4 going through a switch that doesn't do 4K. And so I can't even use it. So I literally have to unplug my stuff and plug it in directly to get that 4K. And I'll do that from time to time, but I honestly don't even notice it, really.
Oh man, I'm gonna be honest on mine because I do the same thing. When I go back and forth between streaming and playing off the stream, I have to take it out of my splitter. So I go from 1080p to jump to 4K, and even when I'm sitting on the main menu, like the dashboard for the PS4, and I switch to 4K, it is like night and day. Like everything is crisp and smoother and like more vibrant. Like,
I just want to feel like I'm playing the best version. I've been waiting for a long time for a new Metroid game. I want to feel like I'm playing the best possible version without buying the same hardware that's just a little bit more powerful.
I agree.
Nick, to that regard, I'm not saying I can't see the difference. I definitely can. It's more so I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
like
fair.
I'm not like if I'm casting and I'm playing at 1080p, I'm not like itching because I'm fucking not getting the extra Ks.
You're right, and to each their own. Like one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of like streaming on a super consistent basis is because I do have to take that graphical hit, and I'm a bit of a graphics whore, guys. I admit it. I like playing my games in full 4K when possible. So but I don't know.
We've been on this news topic a long time.
We're getting into the weeds. Let's circle back around and talk this when it actually becomes a thing, which is probably going to happen sooner rather than
probably.
later. Yeah, E3 is probably a safe bet. Let's do the next news topic, which is...
Hold on. Before we do... Oh, never mind. He already did it.
More rumors and leaks. Best Buy, so there was some...
What?
Yeah,
well, so
weird,
hold on. So
right?
this was...
Wario,
they have like multiple servers or something that host their data.
Yeah.
And one of them happened to have some data about some potential games.
Yeah. And this was coming out a couple days ago. I think
it just happened like yesterday or something.
Wario 64
a few days ago.
2 days ago.
On
Yeah.
So within this info that was leaking from Best Buy, there were references to Metroid Prime Trilogy, on
which has
Switch.
been long rumored.
And also kind of like seems like kind of an obvious step, right? Like
it does.
You know, if you want to make sure people keep Metroid top of mind and get excited for Metroid Prime 4, you would want this fucking trilogy out there, which means I might actually finally go and play 2 and 3.
Persona 5.
Persona we knew about.
Persona 5.
We did,
but we knew it was coming.
We did,
but Link to the Past
and a Link. To
so
the
this was
past.
this is the fucking weird part.
This
right?
isn't like a Link's Awakening.
By the way,
error?
Best Buy did have a listing for Link's Awakening
They
already.
listing.
They have that.
So this is different.
This is different. This is Link to the Past. What the fuck does that mean?
Are they gonna do like a remake they did for Link's Awakening?
So.
Because that would be crazy.
If they announced
that would
like
be,
2
that would
fucking remakes, I would be all over it.
My God.
I mean,
dude, I would play that.
But you know what, Brad? I did hear that Wario also followed up on this tweet that the remake of A Link to the Past will run better on the new Switch.
Oh, shut the fuck up, Nolan.
Like, what?
You get better in-game items.
Yeah.
What if like the new fucking... What if it's like Link to the Past and like the Breath of the Wild engine?
I think that's...
Fuck you.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, they're working on like a real ass Zelda game.
Hope is poison, Brad.
What if that's what
Don't do that
Monolith
to me,
Soft
Brad.
is working on?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Brad. Fuck you and the horse you rode in on. That's not happening.
Okay, so let's be real here.
But hold on,
Best Buy doesn't have listings for like the stuff that's been coming to Nintendo's online service.
Everybody
right?
remember E3 2018 where Best Buy... Oh, wait, that was Walmart. Never mind.
Brett, I will say that we just heard about Monolith Soft working on a Zelda game. To have Best Buy already know about it before... That's a little...
Well, if it's something that they're planning to announce at E3 and they would have that info early, then it is possible.
I could just see them
if it's just an announcement.
That, hey, we're releasing Link to the Past on the Switch.
But there would not be a Best Buy listing
that
for
would just be a download in the store.
That would be a download.
Chris Davis?
So we already know about Link's Awakening coming. What if this Link to the Past project is real, but what if it's like what happened with Oracles of Seasons and Oracles of Ages, in which there's those inter-game functionalities?
Oh, you mean we're like we get Link's Awakening and Link to the Past?
but I mean,
like they could be two sides of the same coin.
Could be,
or
I
like
feel that would be kind of a weird one to do. With
it is a similar same engine sort of thing. Like
I mean, but like Link's Awakening, like the engine that looks incredible. Like,
it does.
Even if we don't get the Breath of the Wild Link to the Past, like
That's what I'm saying. If they just do that to Link to the Past, that would be incredible.
Yeah,
dude, I would be 100% all over both of those.
I mean, but here's the one.
Those are two of my favorite Zelda games.
The one thing that's kind of a bummer, and if that is kind of more of what it's like, in less Breath of the Wild Zelda. We did already get A Link Between Worlds, right? Which is kind of not the same exact thing as Link's Awakening.
That was a very different game,
but it was still that kind of like top-down isometric look, and we kind of had the same. We had the Link's Awakening or A Link to the Past world,
correct,
at our fingertips, right? So we've kind of already seen that
better looking
world in that style. So I feel like it would kind of that would be a little bit, just. It wouldn't be as exciting because we've kind of seen that in some form. Which is why I think it was something more akin to what Brad's talking about. Obviously, it would be fucking...
Yeah, but when you say Link to the Past in the Breath of the Wild engine,
it would
are you talking about like a third-person action game?
Yeah.
Like...
Yes.
Yeah.
Dude, I could see it.
But
the only thing,
what if that's sort of like the Majora's Mask or whatever? Kind of, we're using the engine, maybe a lot of reused assets, but a completely new idea. It happens to be Link to the Past.
In that regard, Brad, the only problem I would see with that is the game would be fairly hallway-y. You know what I'm saying? If you think about the world of A Link to the Past, it's honestly a lot of corridors. Just because you were
blow it up.
I know.
Like
it would have to be completely different.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It would be a very different style.
The open world would probably be almost unrecognizable.
Which is fine, but the hook to Link to the Past is kind of traveling back between the two. The Dark World.
Yeah.
And having that in Breath of the Wild
having
engine,
that in like a Breath of the Wild engine
incredible.
would be crazy.
What would happen when you turn into the pink rabbit?
Dude, like
be a
going through the
fucking
forest
rabbit.
trying to
The
find the
furries
master
would jerk
sword
off.
and like
That's
finding
what-
all the fake swords and like you
Oh,
touch it and
yeah.
it like teleport you. Like,
Dude, I think I just got a boner. All right.
Dude, I want that so bad. Fuck you, Brad.
I suddenly so...
hope is poison.
What
don't
is
let
it?
into
What
your
is
heart.
this thing? I mean, like, think about it. Like, what is it?
It's already in there,
Fuck.
Crispy. It's already in there.
Don't let it
I don't
in.
know, but
heart.
my body is ready. You know what? This is one of those things we start to see these kinds of leaks months before E3. Last year was Walmart with all the Bethesda shit. Like this could be the leak of E3 2019. Like what if we get these announcements from Nintendo? Those all seem plausible.
This could be a good E3.
I mean, Metroid Prime Trilogy we know.
Oh yeah,
it
we know that's
existed.
happening.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm buying that day one because I've only ever played the first Metroid Prime. And that's been one of my shameful things. And
me too.
And I've been meaning to I don't know if I own I don't think I do to play Metroid Prime Trilogy. And 100% I will be all over that on my Switch.
Yep. Yeah. All right, let's get on to the next news topic.
Yep. Oh, hold on before you click on it, Chris Davis. The one I know we don't have an overlay for, but it's about Nintendo, was the one that was announced like an hour ago.
Oh, right.
So the Nintendo LABO VR is coming out. It's going to be very light VR. I don't know to what extent.
I mean,
but
it's a cardboard VR.
Correct. It's like Google VR, like the Google Cardboard or whatever. Yeah. But what they just announced like 45 minutes, an hour ago, is that Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild will have VR support.
That's fucking.
They're retroactively giving free updates to both of those games that will work with the LABO VR.
If somehow that turns out
so
Nintendo
had a tweet. And they were showing it, but it wasn't obviously in VR. But I'm almost thinking for Mario Odyssey, almost
Moss?
no robot VR. What is Sony
Rescue?
Astrobot.
Oh,
Thinking of like seeing Mario almost Astrobot style. But here's the other thing.
Tech that wouldn't support
I know. So here's the other thing. Is the LABO, what they've shown of the VR? It's not like it's something you strap to your head. You like hold it. And so I'm very curious as to how those games are going to play.
They're just going to have like
straps separately.
modes or whatever, like DLC.
No. Watch the trailer. I was watching it like 20 minutes ago. They're saying that the full game will have not a trailer. They just literally after the show we can pull it up. Nintendo has a tweet that literally just shows the game being played and like, hey, this will be in VR.
I mean, for you to do VR, you have to basically render the game twice.
Yeah.
And like, given the resolution of the screens, like you.
Well, so first of all, Brad, it's gonna be when it's undocked, obviously, right?
Yeah.
So it's already at a lower resolution, which means it probably has the power. And the reason they maybe didn't up, it's because it consumes more battery. It's one of those things where you're not gonna be able to play it infinitely because the Switch only has so much battery. I mean, I guess you could just have it plugged into like a battery bank that would extend it, but.
Yeah, I know, but like to get VR to work right, you have to have like already the frame rate in Breath of the Wild like plugged into a TV is not high enough to support VR to where it's not making you like vomit instantly, right? Like VR has to run at very high frame rates for it to not make people sick. Breath of the Wild already doesn't do that, and it's only being rendered once. So I just don't understand.
Well, you know what, Brad? Brad. You'll find out on April 25th.
What if it's only with a more powerful Switch that you can play Breath of the Wild in VR?
I don't think the new powerful Switch is coming out before April 25th, and that's when these games are getting their updates.
To be in VR?
Yes, the LABO thing comes out, I think, on April 12th.
Yeah.
And then this trailer that I'm watching right here from Nintendo experienced two beloved games in new ways with the Toy-Con VR goggles. Comes out April 25th is when they get their updates.
You know what? We will be trying that. In some one way or the other, whether it's good or bad, we're gonna try it. 'Cause I am genuinely fucking curious about that. But we need to move on.
Oh yeah,
Let's do the next news topic, which is Borderlands 3 is yet another Epic Store exclusive, right?
How much conversation have we had about all this Epic Store stuff? I mean, we brought it up a lot, but like nobody here is getting upset like the rest of the internet is, right? The rest of the internet's like sending them death threats and stuff, you know.
Yeah, like I
did send them
the YouTube trailers are getting like downvoted to hell.
Yeah, like in fact, all the Borderlands games that are on Steam right now, or
people are treating this like are
getting downvoted, like are getting a negative review.
People are acting like this is forcing people to go out and buy new hardware to play these
games. That's what I don't understand. Like it's just a different client, and I know the functionality of the Epic Game Store isn't what Steam's is, but it's also been around for way less than
Steam has had kind of a monopoly on like
I mean
for so long. Like
when Half-Life 2 came out, and they said you had to have Steam. Yeah. Steam was not what it is today.
Oh, no.
It was like a train wreck.
It was bad.
It was a train wreck, and everybody was upset. It was a complete disaster. People couldn't get their games. You know, it was a bad scene. And I get, to expect the Epic Store to be where Steam is already is a little, ridiculous.
Well, and everyone knows that. EA knows that.
You don't have to buy a $400 console to play Borderlands.
Oh yeah.
Just download the Epic Games Store.
But I think it's just one of those things where they're trying to get their foot in the door.
Yeah.
They're trying to do the timed exclusives, which I'm sure they paid for, but that way people buy them so more people play them so they get more. I understand what they're doing. Don't get me wrong, I don't love the Epic Game Store. It has a lot of issues. I know there's a lot of privacy stuff around it. I know there's a lot of technical issues. I know there's a lot of lack of features. Yeah. And I'm not saying I'm excited for it to be an exclusive on there.
It's not the end of the world.
But I mean, for death threats and stuff, it's kind of silly.
Yeah, also, I bought Recore from the Windows Store because I had to, but I still played the game and it was good. And then I lived.
Yeah, and I lived to tell the tale. Yeah. Also, it's worth mentioning, I think Borderlands 3 related, it was confirmed it's coming out September 13th.
Correct.
So that's cool, I suppose. All right, let's move on. Mm-hmm. What else we have? I did put this on here. I combined this. This is two news topics I combined into one overlay, but there was two announcements, hardware, quote unquote hardware announcements, or I guess one's not a hardware announcement. We got the Genesis Mini was announced, and then Konami also announced their Classics collection.
Oh yeah, I took those off the dock. I didn't.
Well, you did that after I made the overlay, so here we are. Would you like
here
to
we
say
are,
something?
Brad.
Would you like to say something about?
I was going to mention it later.
All right,
Oh.
moving right along. Are there any other news topics?
I mean, I could get into it now.
No, you already
That's
said
what she
4-player
said.
minute. It's
The Genesis Mini is the one that was sort of rebooted. They were going to have someone else do it, and it
Yeah.
was a train wreck. So Sega was like, all right, we're not doing this one. We're going to do it right. And they've announced it, and it looks right. M2 is doing all the emulation. Yuzo Koshiro is composing like new music for the menus using like Genesis tech. Like, people are excited about it. It already has games that you've never seen on any like Genesis collections, like Bloodlines,
yeah.
which is exciting. The reason the Konami Classics collection, this is a different thing, but also exciting, is because so the one I'm obviously interested in, there's a Contra one, there's an Arcade Classics one. The one I'm interested in is the Castlevania collection, because not only is it a collection of classic Castlevania games, but they're choosing like the good ones. Like all they've only announced like 4 of 8, but they specifically announced like Castlevania 1 and Castlevania 3. They didn't announce 2, which is, sold a lot back in the day, but it's kind of a disaster of a game. They announced the second Game Boy Castlevania game, which is the good one. The first one was a piece of shit. And the fact that they're like cherry picking,
they're skipping the ones.
They're skipping the bad ones. And through ESRB ratings, they've also basically revealed that even though it hasn't been announced, people figured out that Bloodlines is going to be in that part of the collection, which Bloodlines was the Genesis Castlevania game, the only one that ever came to Genesis, to Sega. And that's sort of like, not only does it have a cult following, but that never gets released ever. You know, like you don't see it on like Virtual Console, you don't see it anywhere. So to see it come to like Genesis Mini and this Konami Classics line is like really cool, because you're seeing kind of the more obscure Castlevania. Same thing with the second Game Boy game and maybe even Legends. Those games you don't see a lot. You see that first adventure game. So it's kind of cool. It's kind of exciting. You might even see Rebirth, which was M2 developed. So I'm excited about it. Obviously.
When is this happening?
So the first Konami Classics is coming out this month, but that's the arcade one, and they're saying the other two are going to be in the summer. The Castlevania one, the Contra one. As far as the Genesis Mini, I think that's towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so.
But it's cool that like they're doing it right, because there's been a lot of like Genesis collections in the past. Some of them have been a little rocky. Emulation here and there has been a little rocky, but obviously they're going to be doing it right, so that's kind of exciting.
Cool.
Dope.
Do we have any other news topics? I think that. All right, that's it.
So one thing I wanted to bring up, going back one news topic to Borderlands 3. Timed exclusive on the Epic Game Store for 6 months. Generally nowadays, after 6 months, we see games going down in price.
Yeah.
So do you think when it releases on Steam, it's not going to come out at 60? It's going to come out at like
Yeah, maybe
45
maybe,
or
yeah,
something like that?
I could see that.
Because I'd almost like, in that case, like, would I just want to wait? Because I'd rather have it on my Steam library, because generally, since I have so many launchers on my computer that aren't Steam, I forget I own games.
That might depend largely on A, what Borderlands 3 even is,
It's true.
and B, how well it does.
How well it reviews, and
Yeah.
It'll sell like crazy.
Oh, I know.
Regardless.
All right, let's jump straight into Patreon. No,
I'm ready.
No,
I'm ready. What are you talking about,
we got a few
Nick?
new patrons.
Fuck you. We got 2 new patrons.
Sweet.
So that's always exciting news.
Hell yeah.
Tom's
Thank you,
a new
Tom.
patron, and By the Goddess, who
who's
is
in
definitely
chat.
in chat.
Yeah, thank you guys
tonight.
for joining.
Thanks for becoming patrons. We appreciate all of our patrons, but today we appreciate you.
And don't forget to check out the Revival Club. I think both of those people are at the $3 tier or higher anyways, so you are eligible to access the exclusive Discord channels and all that good stuff. So
That is correct.
We would love to have you in there. We'll be playing all kinds of cool games.
Let's get to some questions for this evening. First question comes from Illumination. What is the most ridiculous thing? What? This is weirdly worded. Sorry. I'm just going to read it word for word. What's the most ridiculous thing has someone tricked you into doing or believing?
Oh.
That's what I was tricky.
Yeah.
Someone tricked me into believing windmills. I'm sorry.
Oh my God, stop it.
I'm sorry.
What?
I'm sorry.
Windmills cause cancer, Crispy.
Is that true?
Specifically the noise.
There we go.
Specifically the noise, Crispy.
Jesus Christ. It's a fucking idiot. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
What's the most ridiculous thing someone's tricked you
I've
into
never
doing
been
or
tricked into
believing?
anything, okay?
Yeah, I'm pretty smart.
No, I'm pretty sure I've been tricked by someone in this room on multiple occasions, and I can't remember what it would be.
Yeah, usually whenever I make a mistake or are tricked or something, I just immediately block it out of my mind.
Just roll with it.
I was tricked with all the hype and hoopla, tricked into thinking I'd actually care about Kingdom Hearts again.
Oh, that's not the spirit of the question, Brad.
Kind of.
Chai Tai is right. He did convince some people in the community and a few of us that he had a son. At one
Yeah.
point. I do remember falling
Which,
for that.
like,
I was genuinely
I
confused.
don't even
for a
know.
bit.
I don't even know what pleasure you took from that.
Carlos must have tricked us in some fashion at some point,
I've
right?
never been tricked by Carlos because I don't believe a word he says.
But you had to
I
get
think
to that
that's the
point over
trick.
being fooled many, many times.
I got tricked today at work.
Yeah.
They did a page that there was cookies in the office, and
No.
You showed up and there was no fucking
there was
cookies.
no cookies.
It was just
They-
everybody
they were
laughing
just-
at Brad.
They were
like,
just looking. They were just looking for me.
Cookie boy.
Wait, that was it? They were just looking for you?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
That's how they get a hold of Brad.
Oh
There
my
are cookies
God.
in the office.
That is funny.
Hey, it's
We
Cookie
very-
Guy.
We very frequently have cookies.
That is funny.
There's
Remember when Chris Davis tricked people into thinking that PUBG was in the top 10?
oh, man.
That is pretty...
Dude, what's a good? I know I've definitely been tricked before, and that's kind of a. I mean, I've definitely, like you said, tricked into or believing, and one of the things that to this day I still holds true, is when you're catching a Pokemon, you have to hold down an A at the same time, and it increases the catch rate. That's something I was kind of not tricked into, but that's something that
You're a
was
fool!
instilled in me, and to this day I still fucking do it every time I play a Pokemon game.
Yeah,
You know,
it helps.
tricked into thinking you could bring Eris back.
Oh, I forgot about
That kind of
Tricked
shit.
into thinking there was a nude code in Tomb Raider back in the day.
Back in the day.
Oh, what is
Not
it?
real.
I mean, that was
Not
video
real.
games back in the day. Was people would just make up fucking rumors and things about the games, like,
Real
oh, you
quick,
can do this
why
if
was
you.
a nude code in Tomb Raider a big... It's like she was made of
Because she had
blocks.
boobs.
Yeah.
But they were...
Things
she's
were-
made of blocks.
Things
They're
were
still
different back
boobs,
then.
Yeah,
Nick.
but we still had
Boobs
them.
come,
We
they
had
come in all
imagination.
shapes and sizes,
Also,
including blocks.
the three-dimensional graphics were still kind of fresh back then, so...
Oh, I remember. I used to be religious.
Oh!
There you go. Oh, that's a
JK.
good one, Deputy Dangle. That Master Hand was a playable character in Smash
Were
Melee.
you really?
Yeah.
yeah, that was a thing.
Yeah.
And then I think someone like made a mod that made him playable.
Oh,
Oh,
really?
no, I was asking if you
But
used
it's
to really
weird.
be religious.
Well, I mean, like I used to go to church and stuff.
I could see Crispy like at church camp being like the friendliest.
No, like when I was a kid, like I used to think that even like thinking swear words was like a sin, and you were gonna
Holy
go to hell.
shit!
Yeah,
Brett, I didn't
I shook
curse
that
until
off
I
by
was in
middle
like
school,
college.
Shut up!
I was
really?
super religious when I was
Oh
younger.
my god,
Oh, man.
dude!
it doesn't make any sense too because like my dad swears all the time.
I went to church 3 times a week
So
back in the day.
So I curse a lot, obviously, but I do it like when I visit my parents, I curse, and my wife is like, "What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Why do you keep cursing in front of your
I
mom?"
curse in front of my parents all the time.
I do too.
No, I know, which I do, and even my mom's like, "Hey, what? Don't say fuck." But like the person who gets the most mad is my wife, but that's because she has very religious parents. But whatever. I don't know.
Oh, man.
Dude, I didn't curse until I was like in college, mainly just because I was grown up in a fairly religious place. But then like when I was in college, my first semester, I probably brought it up before, but I had a roommate named Alex, and instead of saying when he couldn't think of a word, he said fuck.
Oh, okay.
So he's like, and me and my friend, we were fucking just waiting for the fucking thing to start, and it was fucking crazy, and like just literally hearing the word fuck and fucking like
Made you the
80
man you are
times
today.
an hour, I just started saying it like crazy. And even Bernadette was like, "You've been cursing a lot." And I was like, I can't stop.
I used to feel guilty when I first started listening to like metal music. I was young enough that I like felt
Whenever
I really
you talk
felt
to your parents,
guilty.
like, Pasta Ketchup!
Felt guilty about it. I remember feeling guilty listening to Slipknot for the first time, like I was listening to something that I shouldn't be listening to. And then yesterday I bought an album called Hail Satan. So
So Henry hasn't cursed yet.
Well, of course.
But he's done something like that's so much worse. So like, kind of jokingly, like when he does something like a real dickhole thing, we'll be like, "Bad baby," like "Bad baby," right?
Yeah.
But we're like, he's not really saying many things. He's not processing this.
Yeah.
But he does, right? And he started saying like "bad baby"
Yeah.
when he knows he's doing something
like-
bad. I don't know if
he's
I
at
brought
the
up on a
height of his,
podcast.
like,
I think I brought up on the
neuroelasticity.
podcast,
I don't
right?
remember this.
Where he like knocked my drink over and was like "bad baby, bad baby." He knows.
I can imagine him like looking at you and being like, "Bad baby," and just not.
No, that's exactly what's happening. He knows.
Don't you do that?
he's
So-
like
so
he's like
now-
the cat in that video, just like slowly.
You
pushing
hear him in the
water
other
glass
room
over.
like, "Bad baby." Oh fuck! What do you do?
So,
Like, you gotta run in.
Malia's like, "Oh my god, we have to stop saying bad baby." So now we're like,
Get him
"Good
there
baby,
sometime.
good baby." When he does something like really dickhole-ish, he's getting into
The funny
that
thing is,
phase.
he's gonna keep doing the things, but he's gonna start saying "good baby."
Yeah. But
Oops, you
that's-
already ruined this one. Better start on a new one.
I can imagine Brad standing outside Henry's room, and it's Henry's bedtime, so it's completely dark in there, and he just hears him, "Good baby."
yeah, it's like it's good that you did that.
that's-
It's good that you sent them to the cornfield.
It's like you walk in there, and like all of like his bed's empty, and there's just shit all over the floor around it. And she's like,
so you
"Good
agree
baby."
this is good.
You're gonna come to the room and immediately. Henry has made like a pentagram on the floor out of
Bad
like,
baby.
out of like clothes and toys and stuff. He's a bad baby.
Bad baby.
Anyway, next question.
All right, moving on. Next
is
question.
that question
and
went
he
places.
yells at the dogs.
Bad baby.
What does he yell at them?
Go, because so that's what we say, right? We're over there trying to do something with the baby, and the dog, and we're like, "Go, get out of here!" To the dogs, right? So now he does it. He's like, "Go, go, go!" And it'll like push them out of the way. We're like, "Oh, that's so sad. He loves these dogs.
bad baby.
He doesn't even know what he's doing." So yeah, it
backwards
is so
off the
much.
ladder.
Dogs are so much harder when you have a baby.
Next question this week from one of our new patrons by the goddess: pizza rolls or bagel bites?
You know what?
Ooh,
I am not
pizza
familiar
rolls.
enough.
Big
with
Good
either one.
question.
Oh, so
Excellent
only
question.
one answer.
Specifically Totino's.
Yeah,
Okay.
of
Wait,
course.
when you say pizza
What?
rolls,
Pizza rolls are far superior to bagel bites.
no, hang on.
okay.
I'm with like bagel bites are fucking
Dude, the
incredible.
bread is fucking
Stop.
chewy.
Wait,
Stop
wait,
right
wait,
now.
wait, wait,
First
wait,
of all,
wait,
stop.
wait. In an
Second
oven.
of all, pizza rolls are made of cardboard and grease, and that's it. There isn't even any like cheese in that thing.
There's
Unless
cheese.
you're talking about like pizza rolls like you would get like a double.
When's
Days.
the last
Those
time
Double Day
you
pizza
had a
rolls
bagel bite?
are incredible.
Okay, hold on.
Real talk.
Hold on.
When's the last time you had a bagel bite?
They're horrible.
It's been- I don't know.
But that is a good question because I don't think I've ever
I don't know, it's
had
been a
like
long time.
a nice bagel bite. Bagel bites are always like shitty frozen things. But I will get crispy that like Double Days pizza rolls are on a different
Those
level
are
from like a
pepperoni
toast.
rolls. That is not in the spirit of the question.
Okay, well,
That's a
I don't know.
pizza roll. It's a rolled
Shannon, are you
pizza.
talking about like Tostino's pizza rolls?
May
or
I
are you
interject
talking
for a
about?
moment?
I think
like-
that's what they're
Yeah,
talking
I mean,
about.
Fancier
bagel bites
pizza
definitely
rolls?
have to be like done well. Like you have to like really fucking put the heat.
When
in.
I was a
I'm
kid,
sorry,
bagel
I
bite
didn't know.
night
I
was
put so
like
much
the light
elegant
of my life.
time into my
But-
fucking frozen pizza
No,
bagel.
I'm just saying you got to make sure you cook it through because sometimes they're hard to cook if you're doing it like in a microwave because they're frozen little rocks of
They
whatever.
are frozen little pieces of
Can
shit.
I interject for one moment?
What's
by
up,
saying
Nick?
I've never had either one.
Shut the fuck
What is
up,
wrong
Nick.
with you?
He
His
only has
parents were like,
filet
I'm sorry,
mignon."
Nick. I only had time to make you this lobster roll. This will have to do.
Hell yeah! You know what? If I had to choose between bagel bites, pizza rolls, or lobster rolls, I would go with lobster. rolls.
Obviously, all of us fucking would.
Gross.
But, well,
No,
Crispy
I
doesn't
wouldn't.
like seafood.
I wouldn't do that.
But
Wouldn't make that trade.
pizza rolls are far superior to bagel bites.
Double Dave pizza rolls are far
Okay, well,
superior.
yes, that's true.
But that's the only type of pizza roll that's
Lobster
superior to
rolls
bagel
are a
bites.
sandwich.
But here's the other question.
You're right.
Double Dave's Pizza pepperoni rolls or a pizzone.
Ooh, Double Days. Yeah.
Here's the question.
Does that
though.
exist
Let's,
anymore?
They brought
probably.
it back. They brought
Let's-
it
They
back.
brought it back.
Let's follow up on
Back,
on
baby.
by the goddess's question. When you were eating pizza rolls,
Sure.
did you In which way did you eat them? Did you bite off a corner to let some of the steam out, or did you just pop the whole thing?
No,
What am I, a
you
fucking
bite off a
psychopath?
corner.
Like, of course I vented the steam.
Always
oh
a
my
corner.
God.
Yeah.
Wait, so you're a corner guy?
Oh, God.
Yes,
Okay.
you can't
You
pop
can't
it in your
just
mouth.
pop a pizza roll.
If you
in
ever
your
want to
mouth.
enjoy the taste of anything ever
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
you
Well,
can't just do
at least
that.
the rest
wanna
of that
continue to have the
day.
use
Your
of
tongue and
That's
the
what I'm
roof of your
saying,
mouth are gone.
Like
if you pop in a
the
pizza roll.
structural design of a pizza roll was really not meant to be microwaved because it's just
Well,
like
yeah, no,
creating
always
a
gotta
fucking
be the
steam
other.
Well, that's what
bomb.
you do. If you microwave, you have to microwave them long enough to where the content starts spilling out.
Yeah.
Because only then do you know it's safe.
God.
Dude, sometimes when I was in a hurry, like I would
It's
just
like,
Here's the
you
thing.
do that fucking
Pizza
dragon's
rolls-
breath thing where you,
Pizza rolls stuck in the microwave, right?
Yeah.
Pizza rolls aren't as good in the microwave. Bagel
like
bites in the
this.
microwave are like not even food. You
no,
can't do
they're-
that.
like I said, the bread's just fucking chewy.
you have to
hard,
put 'em in the
like,
oven.
No, both
Yeah,
of those have to be
that's
cooked in the
okay,
oven.
but that's not a discussion about which one of those two foods is better. That's a discussion about oven or microwave, and like microwaves are the only benefit to them is that they're quick.
Hey,
Correct.
I have a serious
Not that they're good.
viewer question. I have a viewer question.
What's up?
I listened to last week's
You're not a
podcast,
viewer.
and it
Oh,
was
wait,
it was
you
a
will.
question I would have posed to Nolan had I been on the podcast. So I'm going to ask it now. This is not like, oh, would you rather have one arm or 8 dicks?
Hey, Dick.
Hey, dicks, easily.
I mean, it's an easy
No,
answer.
no, this
one arm,
is a
right?
legitimate question.
I thought about that.
on the topic of
And wait, is the one arm a dick?
Like, why would you cut off one?
Is it 8
limb
dicks on different parts of your body, or like 8 dicks in like a bouquet coming?
a bouquet,
Like,
I wouldn't want a bouquet of dicks. I don't want that.
Why would you want a bouquet?
Why would you choose between cutting off an existing limb or giving yourself 7 more of
Do
one
they
of your
all- do they all
favorite
get
limbs?
hard at
dicks.
once?
8 dicks
That's
end
the
to
thing.
end.
That's the thing. When you have sex,
Is
you
it
have
like
to
a
choose one
porcupine?
or a 2, maybe.
Yeah, do you just
right?
become like really anemic and pass out? Like all your blood is in this dick bouquet between your legs?
You probably would.
It's a
actually.
bouquet.
A bouquet, I'm sorry.
Different sizes
That
too.
wasn't even his question.
But wouldn't it be dangerous?
Wait.
Like,
How many balls do you have?
This is what's wrong with our podcast.
consider-
I have a serious video game question,
Okay,
but
what
we're
is
obsessed with the dick bouquet.
Bouquet, please.
Who wouldn't be?
had more than like 3 hard-ons.
Oh my god, oh my god.
Out.
Chai Chai just wrote in chat,
blood
I'm
loss?
listening in the shower with the window open and my neighbor just yelled, there are kids out here, turn that
Yes. Making our mark on the world.
Perfect.
Oh my god.
Turn off that smut.
Brad, what's your question?
Okay,
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
That is the fucking funniest thing I've ever
Weird.
heard.
serious question.
What's up?
On the topic
It's a serious
of
show.
the cadence of Hyrule.
Yes. Ooh, yes.
Okay,
Wow.
so in fact, when it was announced, this is what I was thinking about. Obviously, you had played, fucking, I don't know, 200 hours of that game, right? You're
somewhere
very
about
fucking
there.
good at it. You
Yeah.
know, you could beat it, no problem. It was a very tough game, but you got super fucking good at it.
Sure.
So my question for you is I guess twofold. First of all, this is now like a Zelda game, more or less, right?
Correct.
So do you expect it to be nearly as hard as Crypt of the Necrodancer? And two, even if it is, do you think that because you were already so good at Necrodancer, it's going to take a lot of that positive experience you had with Necrodancer was getting good at it? Would it be like so easy that it's not even going to be that much fun
Are you going to
anymore?
miss out on some of the magic?
Yeah, are you just going to be able to like blaze through it and be done with it?
So no. And here's a couple things. One, I do think it will probably be easier than Crypt of the Necrodancer.
Just because it's a Zelda game,
Because
right?
it's a Zelda and then it's a Nintendo game.
Nintendo,
I think that is one of the main reasons. I'm pretty sure they probably said to Brace Yourself Games, hey, we're giving you our fucking baby.
Yeah.
You are allowed to make it a challenging game, but you cannot make it as difficult as your game. I think one of the ways that they will make that happen is I think you will have more health. I think there will be probably fewer enemies you're encountering at a time. Yeah. Oftentimes in Crypt of the Necrodancer, you'd be, flushed with enemies. And that's what made Crypt of the Necrodancer hard, was that you're encountered with multiple enemies who have different move styles. They move at different beats. They move in different directions. And if you, like, literally in 2 or 3 turns, you can go from full health to dead.
Yeah.
Because enemies do
It's
multiple
hard. It's a
multiple hard.
roguelike.
Yeah, correct.
But you kind of mastered it.
Yes and no. Brad, I picked it up the other day, and I didn't even get to the first like main boss. It's still challenging, and it's because of that reason that literally sometimes one false move in a direction can like end a run, because then you get flustered, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, what what am I doing? And then you die. And so I think it's going to be a little bit easier because I think you're going to have less enemies. I think you might. I don't want to say attacks are going to be more powerful. It did seem like from the previews we saw that their attacks were, the bow was just the same thing as the bow in this. Pardon me. And I do think, the sword's going to be like a slash. And that was one thing. In Crypt of the Necrodancer, different weapons had different attack styles. They had different like kind of paths that they would attack in. I think these ones are going to be maybe a little more forgiving. I don't think that necessarily my time and the effort I put into Crypt of the Necrodancer will help me so much that I won't get enjoyment out of this. Because I think one of the things is, even though I played 200 hours of Crypt of the Necrodancer, I won't say that I ever got so good at the game that I could start it up and beat a run on my first try. In all honesty, I've probably only seen credits roll in this game maybe 3 times. Okay. In my 200 hours.
Yeah, wow.
And one of the and that's also not, I don't play it to beat it. I play it, to fun and to explore in different areas.
I think one of the experience is literally just going to be like the Zelda music and how that.
Well, yeah, so I think that's a big aspect, and that's one of the things I think I'm going to enjoy a lot is the Zelda music.
And
I do hope that they take.
I just see the average player kind of beating their head, even if it is like close to as hard as Necrodancer, people beating their head against it for weeks while you're kind of just like, yeah, I mastered this.
I don't think that's necessarily the case. I'm hoping that's not.
I would hope that's not the case as well, but like that's sort of the fear.
But like I said, Brad, if you think about A Link to the Past, think about that game, right?
Yeah. Think
about how often you're encountering a bunch of enemies. It's not very often, right? Like, the most enemies you counter at a time is, 2 or 3?
Yeah.
In Crypt of the Necrodancer, you'll open a door, and there'll be, 7 enemies in a room.
Yeah.
That you now have to, back out, take a step back, hold on, let me try and, do... I think this game is literally just going to be Zelda moving around to a beat instead of just willy-nilly.
So you're saying it's going to be easier probably for everybody.
I hope it is still challenging.
I know, I hope so, too.
And I hope it's a roguelike.
I don't want it to be a cakewalk, and I would love for it to be a roguelike, yes.
Yeah.
All right,
anyway.
Next question.
Oh, shit. Sorry.
Also, imagine Star Fox FTL. I hope they do more shit like this.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we were talking about that
I definitely hope some,
cool.
But not just
Letting
Hollow Knight, Metroid. I'm saying, to have, a defined indie idea that's unique, but having kind of that license.
Yeah.
So, FTL. The Star Fox.
All right.
Or Metroid.
That was actually all the questions from our patrons. We only had 2 this week.
This year, yeah.
That's fine.
Really?
Because what would you say, Nick?
We only had 2 questions from patrons?
Yeah.
That never happened.
I know. But that's all right, because we got some questions from our supporters on Twitch. I mean, Nick, double check me that I'm wrong. Maybe they just weren't loading for me, but I only saw the 2.
Double check. Go ahead and read the
first question this week from Thorax. Chris Davis just started Splinter Cell Chaos Theory and played through the bank level. I was immediately blown away with just how open the level was and the amount of options you have. Sam Fisher felt somewhat restricted in the first 2 games, but Chaos Theory fixed this, improving his kit. Besides the multiplayer, what other elements of Chaos Theory do you fondly remember? P.S. Really would like to see this in the Revival Club. Honestly, I can say that I did play Chaos Theory. One of the main things I do remember was the multiplayer. That was one of the kind of the fun aspects I liked. Is that was kind of one of my first times of kind of planning hits and being all right, you take out this guy, I'll do this, and I'll move over here, and I'll help you do this and whatnot.
I like the idea of doing Chaos Theory for Revival Club specifically because it's one of those games on my pile of shame. I've never played it.
For me...
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, for me, before Chris Davis starts talking, so I got to get it out. For me, it was the co-op missions. I absolutely adore...
100%. Yeah.
I mean, I love the multiplayer and I love the campaign, but the co-op missions, for me, back then, it felt so... I felt like it was an experience I had never had before.
Sorry, Brett. So let me read it real quick. When I meant multiplayer, I meant the co-op. That's what I meant. Yeah. And that was actually one of the first games that me and Bernadette played together.
Yeah.
If this rings a bell of how old Chaos Theory is, we rented it from Blockbuster when we played it.
That co-op mode was in Blacklist too, wasn't it?
Not the same.
It wasn't the same.
Not the same thing, but you could play co-op in Blacklist, right? I'm pretty sure I remember doing that.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead, Chris Davis.
There were co-op missions in Blacklist, but that was built more around the Conviction co-op mode.
Yeah, it was a separate set of levels and stuff too, wasn't it? Like,
Yeah,
you weren't
yeah.
playing through the story. Anyways, what
But
were you
no,
going to say about Chaos Theory?
I mean, Pandora Tomorrow was the reason why I got broadband internet, and I put hundreds of hours into that.
Really?
I put so many more hours into Chaos Theory because Chaos Theory was, as far as the multiplayer goes, it was a rebalanced version of Pandora Tomorrow, and it worked so well. The level design was great. The structure of the Mercs versus Spies was so smartly done. There were so many just little bitty things about every single map that was just amazing.
Quick question: if we were to eventually play Chaos Theory for Revival Club, what is the best way to play that these days? Is it on like?
So there was actually a PS3 HD port that was 720p.
Was that a good version though?
Actually, it was a fairly good version.
Is it not available on like Steam or something at like on PC?
It is
PC
available on Steam. You can play it
ports.
on PC.
PC ports are a little finicky.
I mean, you have to
these
realize
days.
it's a port of the 2005 version, so it's like it's 4.3. You got to do a little bit of work on it, but it works.
Yeah, but the HD version on the PS3 is not in 4.3. It's in 16:9.
I don't think so.
I think it's 4.3. I don't remember exactly. What I do know is that the HD collection, because it came with Pandora Tomorrow and Splinter Cell 1, was that it didn't have any of the multiplayer content.
Oh, gotcha. That's
purely
kind of a bummer.
Yeah.
I see, Nolan. You just figured out that there's 8.
Dude,
comments.
like fucking what? I don't know what Patreon's doing. Their site's being a little dumb.
I'm using the app.
Well, no, I wasn't. I was using the website.
Oh, okay.
And now all of a sudden I was able to get to those other questions. So
Okay.
yeah, I
Shit,
see
we
them
have
now.
more questions.
We
Let's
do.
roll.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, we do. So hold on, because I'm already on supporters from Twitch. Let me ask the next one real quick from Beck. What games have you given up on entirely due to their difficulty, either being too easy or too hard?
Wait, being too easy? Giving it 'cause it's
On the
too easy?
Xbox 360, there was a game called Zoids. It's sitting up there on the shelf. I just can't see it because Batman's blocking it.
Game,
Yeah. Zoids. Can you see it? It's
Yeah, and it wasn't just that game was hard; it was bad.
Dude, that game was hard as shit. And I was fucking all about Zoids.
Assault.
Zoids Assault. There you go. That game was hard as shit.
There was a game on PlayStation. It was a turn-based, grid-based tactics game, and back then I thought I was the shit at those games. Final Fantasy Tactics Ogre, those were really hard. I played a lot of them. Front Mission, it's kind of my shit. I was really good at them, but I bought this one called Hoshigami, and it was like fucking impossible. It was insane. I couldn't even get past the third battle. I had never experienced a turn-based tactics game that was that fucking hard. I still fucking hate that game.
Dude, back in middle school when like the Star Wars prequels were coming out, there was like a whole bunch of Star Wars video games coming out, and the one I was really excited about that I was like saved up for, bought it, was like really into getting into it, and then quit because it was too hard and janky was Jedi Power Battles.
Oh.
That game is hard. That's like
remember that
bullshit
game?
hard. That game
That
sucks.
game fucking sucked.
Yeah, I mean,
I wanted to like that game so much, and it was like such bullshit.
there's a lot of old
I don't
games
play
that
a
are just
lot of
hard.
games that are typically classified until I started playing Dark Souls. I don't think I played a lot of games that are considered hard.
That Devil May Cry
Nick,
3.
like fucking half the.
I said not a lot.
Half the
Brad.
games on like old school systems were hard as
Yeah.
shit.
But you know
Like,
what, Brad? I didn't give up playing Devil May Cry 3, so fuck off.
dude? Like every other game on the SNES could be classified as too hard. Like
Sekiro is a lot harder than the Souls games, I think.
I don't know. I think
When I got to
Yeah.
I mean,
I came close to quitting Hollow Knight this week because of that final boss,
Hollow
but
Knight's
I'm reassessing the situation.
I'm right there with Baba Is You right now, mainly because there's
actually.
just no way to progress
Yeah.
unless you finish these levels, and the only way I see myself finishing them is either spending like 30 hours on each level, which you're supposed to be
I
able
don't
to
think
solve
I'm
in
gonna
30
finish it.
seconds.
Here's what
or
I don't
looking
know
up
if I
the
necessarily
solution.
gave up because I thought it was too hard, but I did hit a wall, and then I moved on to something else, and I meant to go back, and I never did. So I don't know if that counts, but the Talos Principle, I played that for like 30 to 40 hours, and I got almost into that game, and I hit a wall and a
that
puzzle.
game is brilliant.
Whew, it's
but it
brilliant,
is
but
fucking
some of those
hard.
late game puzzles are so fucking
I
hard.
hit a wall like that with The Witness.
Yeah.
Couldn't keep going with it.
Honestly, I feel like a lot of people hit walls in Wargroove,
hit-
which is another really hard game from this year. But there's an easier difficulties now.
I'm having trouble thinking of like easy games that I stopped playing.
Wargroove's awesome.
Well, let's keep going because we actually do have a lot more questions. But thank
Yes,
you.
because Patreon's being weird and they were hiding all of their questions. So I
Ava
finally...
in chat, the game I just mentioned was the Talos Principle.
All right, so
great game.
questions from patrons. Nexus, which Final Fantasy character, playable or not, does any of the other 4-player crew remind you of?
Brad reminds me of Steiner from Final Fantasy IX.
What the fuck?
I was gonna
Why
say,
would you say that?
I was gonna say Brad.
It's true.
I was gonna say Brad reminds me of Waka.
I feel like no matter what you say, it's gonna be like, fuck you. Why would you
I
say
prefer Waka to Steiner.
that?
I don't know.
Nick reminds me of VV.
Nolan
he's
reminds me. Fuck off. Nolan reminds me of Sid. I know that's probably
Which
a compliment.
Sid?
I was
All of
thinking of
them.
like Nolan reminds me of Sid from Final Fantasy VII.
Okay.
Sid
take it.
Highwind.
Sid
Yes, Sid
Highwind.
Highwind.
We'll take it. Use a spear.
Nick reminds me of Zidane.
I'll take it.
I hate Zidane.
I know you do.
But
I like how he's like, oh great, he thought it was a compliment.
Nick
Let me just preface this with, I hate Zidane.
Nick reminds me of Squall because I think Nick was totally Squall
like
in high school,
broody?
just like sitting around, like listening to Slipknot, being like, "Man, I'm cool."
I did listen to Slipknot. Yeah, it was me.
Crispy reminds me.
I didn't have a cool
of-
jacket though.
Yeah, that would have sealed it. That would have clinched it.
Crispy reminds me of.
Yeah,
Dude, there's so
right.
many Final Fantasy characters.
Right? You can't put me in a box.
Oh man.
Kafka?
No.
No.
Chris Davis reminds me of Snow.
Yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, what?
You don't want to be Snow.
Crispy reminds me of Zell.
Zell?
From
I can see it.
He was a very like
Yeah, he's very energetic and kind
Wait,
of
who's
like
Zell?
from Final Fantasy VIII.
VIII,
He had
like-
the spiky hair. He was the boxer. He had the gloves.
Oh.
but he was very like energetic and
Not the
he was-
boxer. He was like a brawler.
funny dude. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crispy reminds me of Worker 8 from Final Fantasy Tactics.
Damn.
It's a deep cut.
Deep cut.
He's a robot.
Next question.
All right.
That fucking hurts.
He's a robot.
Next question from Fuzzy Turd. Dead or Alive has some amazing jiggle physics, and they took advantage of that with their beach volleyball games.
Did you
What-
get Worker 8?
Which game franchise deserves the same treatment? This is kind of unrelated, but this reminds me of a few years ago. A Chatter of the Week contestant said that his shameful secret that he used to use the mounted gun in the helicopter in Just Cause to make his controller vibrate. Then he held the vibrating controller to his junk to soil his shorts. Wild times. So which game do we think deserves
Somebody really
jiggle
admitted that in our
physics?
podcast, guys.
Probably.
Think about that for a moment. So the question literally is, what game would we like to see better jiggle physics in?
Jizzle physics? Jesus, Nick. Come on.
Jizzle physics?
Metal Gear Solid. I want to see that snake ass jiggle.
Oh, God.
There's a little bit of jiggle in 4, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we are in a day and age where
cool.
graphics look so real.
a robot.
I feel like jiggle physics should just kind of be a thing that exists. It doesn't have to be crazy like Dead or Alive, but things should jiggle naturally, okay?
Yeah.
Video games look amazing these days. And clearly, jiggle physics are a thing that can be accomplished.
Yeah. I wish the Traveler in Destiny jiggled. The big orb that floats over the city.
Oh my goodness. I can't pick anyone.
I could
game.
use some more jiggle physics in Sekiro.
I like jiggle physics, like
like a
like,
jiggly
gang,
sword.
like Gang Beasts. I want more jiggly physics like from Gang Beasts.
Yeah.
Something tells me these aren't the answers they're looking for.
That's okay.
Oh my god.
Real answer though, real primal answer.
Haiti.
No.
I mean, I don't know. Like, jiggle physics would be just a light, very subtle jiggle. Would be nice, okay? That's all I'm saying. A little
tasteful
subtle jiggle would be nice here and there. It doesn't need to be crazy.
A tasteful jiggle.
A tasteful, subtle jiggle.
They did that
everywhere.
to Tekken. Tekken used to have no jiggle, but then they added subtle jiggle. And it's not like Soul Calibur or like Dead or Alive.
Does it jiggle while you juggle?
I mean, it should obviously only be applied in situations where like a character is wearing clothes that would allow something to jiggle.
Obviously.
Right? You wouldn't want to just willy-nilly throw jiggle
Jiggly
everywhere.
arms.
No willy-nilly
Like,
jiggles.
Butts don't wiggle in jeans. Like, I mean, they wiggle. Sorry, they don't.
You know what
jiggle.
has a lot of jiggle
Correct.
physics?
They wiggle, but not jiggle.
What's up?
You know what has a lot of jiggle physics?
What's that?
Slime Rancher.
Slime Rancher does.
True. A lot of
That's
jiggly
accurate.
slimes.
As it should.
All right, moving on.
Man, there's a lot of good possibilities for the name of this
Next
show.
question from Judd. Who authorized the Carlos takeover for April Fool's Day, and what punishment can the community vote on for this foolishness?
I will say this: I woke up and was blindsided. So
We were all playing.
Dude, the
I don't
worst.
think anybody-
No. The worst part about the whole thing was the little icon on
Discord.
Discord that had the notification.
Dude, that
number
made
on
me
it.
so fucking mad.
I did not realize that was an actual thing.
That was the master stroke.
I spent all morning trying to figure out which channel had a note. I was like, how do I clear this?
It only honestly took me about a minute and a half to figure it out, but I was so fucking because I'm a zero inbox, zero message kind of guy, and I can't. I'm like, where the fuck is this thing? The easiest way I found out was there's an @ button in Discord that you can see where you were added at, and I noticed there wasn't one, and I was like, you motherfucker, it's in the picture.
I gotta be honest with you. Like years and years ago, someone for April Fool's did Brad Player broadcast. So
Yes.
Wasn't funny then either.
kind of not.
All right, let's move on. Next question from Mr. Green Toast. Speaking of April Fools, what are some of your favorite video game April Fools jokes or pranks you've seen over the years?
Oh, the one I don't know. I tune them out because I fucking hate it.
I hate them because
But-
they always end up being like fake announcements for things I'd actually like to see.
Back before the internet had completely calloused our souls,
Sure.
and like I could still fall for this stuff. The one that like always sticks with me was Blizzard was like, hey, so World of Warcraft's really popular, so now we're gonna make World of StarCraft. And they had all these screenshots of like a World of StarCraft MMO, and I was like, that's kind of cool. And then it was all April Fools, and I was like, I hate everybody.
Yeah, that's a pretty bad
I feel
one.
like now April Fool's jokes get turned into like real projects and stuff now.
Sometimes.
You see that?
Well, no, that
sometimes.
was. I remember when
BioWare did a Garrus body pillow or cuddle pillow.
Did they?
I know this because Robin was
Robin
like,
bought
look
it?
at this. And I was-
'Cause Robin
she was
owns
like,
one?
She's like, what if I got this? And I was like, don't do
As
it.
long as it has jizzle physics.
Jizzle. Oh my god.
They got me saying it.
Jizzle physics.
It was real.
I know.
But hold on.
She was like, what if I bought this?
So that's what I wanted to say was I remember back in the day, ThinkGeek, when they were cool. You always had their before they were owned by GameStop. You used to always have their April Fool stuff, and after a while, they were like, "Hey, why don't we actually make these real products?" And for a while, they were actually
Big one, like the first
some
one
of
I
the
remember
coolest stuff
was,
came out was actually really cool products.
Yeah, the first one I remember was a Tauntaun
The Tauntaun sleeping bag.
that
And
they
that's a
turned into
fucking
real
cool, brilliant
product, yeah.
idea. But yeah, like back in the day, I remember just a lot of those really cool stuff, becoming actual products.
Yeah.
But I'm having trouble remembering any
Yeah.
video game related stuff.
For the past few years, on April 1st, I tend to like not pay as much attention to the internet.
Oh yeah, I 100% like tune shit out.
Because I don't.
Congratulations, guys! We've killed April Fools.
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Next question from Chai. With new consoles on the horizon, most everyone is going to get them the same way, pre-ordered on some website. Things like buying spots in lines or shady trades in parking lots seem to be fading away for games.
Thank God.
What was the most interesting way you bought a gaming console? If it's not the same, what was the first console you bought with your own money?
Oh,
interesting
I got an
way?
answer. Interesting way I bought a console is there was a time I got my original Xbox by flipping games at FYE.
Nice.
Remember FYE?
Yes.
And
For
but
your
the reason it was
entertainment.
crazy is because like there was like I follow message boards and stuff, and there's very specific games that were being sold at GameStop for like super cheap, but for whatever reason like FYE was giving a ton of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would get multiple copies of this of these games, right? And what I did, and it was kind of stupid in hindsight, is like I had these 3 different games, and I go into FYE, trade them in, I get the credit, and it was like $75 for these 3 games or whatever, right?
Sure.
I get those same games again, and I do the flip again. at a different FYE, and I get the same amount of credit for the same games. So when I go to get my Xbox, I have 2 receipts for the exact same games and the exact same amount. And like the manager was like, "This seems like fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
This seems fucked up."
It does. You're telling me this, and I think that sounds fucked up.
Well, I mean, shit. Back in the day, I mean, I couldn't afford an Xbox. I was a poor college kid, and
Sounds like their system is broke as fuck too.
no, the system is broke as fuck, and I was taking advantage of it. But like, it made it seem like way shadier than it was because it was 2 different credits, but even though they look exactly the same, but yeah, and that's how I got my original Xbox, by flipping games. It probably cost me just like $20-$30.
I don't think I have any interesting stories about how I bought a console. The first thing that comes to mind is my N64, and the only reason it was interesting is because the only reason I convinced my parents to go in on it is because they were selling it at the.
Nick,
my
you're
parents
a little
were.
low.
Huh?
You're a little low.
What's going on? Sorry. I will try to talk directly into my mic.
Thank you.
My only reason I convinced my parents to get the N64 is because it was on sale at the commissary at the Air Force Base, because my parents were in the military. So we drove to San Antonio and went to the Air Force Base, and I bought the N64 at I don't remember. It was like like $20 cheaper or something to buy it.
Did you honestly? Was that honestly worth it to drive all the way to San Antonio to save $20?
My family, we would always go to we would go up there for like the day to like down, whatever. We would go there to do shopping and stuff every once in a while, and it was just part of the trip. But that's probably the most interesting.
So I have 2 answers to this question. He kind of asked 2 questions. The first console I ever bought with my own money was my PS3. Me and Bernadette waited at the midnight release for Metal Gear Solid 3, and I got the Metal Gear Solid 3 PS3 bundle.
Yeah.
That was the first one I ever bought with my own money. At the same time, I also bought a Bluetooth headset that was Snake's, what's it called? Codec.
Yeah.
So, whatever. So I always, that was my first Bluetooth headset too. So I would ever get a phone call, I would press the button and be like, oh,
and you felt so
dude, I felt amazing.
Cool.
Also, I will say that headset was uncomfortable as fuck. It was not comfortable to wear. But anyway, the first, did I buy that before? Maybe, I don't know. I bought a PSP from a guy on Craigslist for $80. This is when the PSP cost like $200, and I'm fairly certain the guy stole it. But like he had me meet him in a parking lot of like a bank, and then like I was like, all right, let's do this, man. And then like he was like we were doing the trade, but then he just kept talking. And like he wouldn't stop talking.
Want to come hang out with you?
I don't know, I guess. And he didn't give me a charger with the PSP. It was literally just a PSP. I had to buy the charger on my own. But he just kept talking, and it was just like this is back when you had T9, and so I like did the whole fucking text from my pocket, and I texted Bernadette, and I was like, call me. And then like she called, and I was like, oh hey, what's up? I gotta go, man. Thanks for the PSP. Later. And like got the fuck out of there, because I don't know if I want to say like he seemed like he was on drugs, but he kind of did.
Probably was.
But yeah, 2 weeks later that PSP stopped working. But thankfully the disc reader stopped, so I couldn't play my UMDs.
Oh my god, UMDs.
And so I had to mod my PSP because that was literally the only way I could get it to work.
I think the first system I remember buying, it may not be the first one I actually bought with my own money, but it's the first one I remember vividly, was the PS3, because I bought the $600 one, and it was painful.
Yeah, I paid $600
painful.
for one. All right, we got one more question.
Alrighty.
Wangless. While we probably won't know the whole truth of the situation at BioWare leading up to the release of Anthem, it sounded pretty damn depressing. I've had some stressful jobs in the past, but never gone into a dark room to cry. Do you think there is a moral obligation for consumers to, quote, vote with their wallets if game studios have working conditions like BioWare to create change? Or can the game development process be separated from the final product?
I mean, if you're aware of the situation, I think a lot of people just aren't aware of what was going on at BioWare. Or,
I'm still not aware.
I mean, a lot of people, there's a lot of talk about mismanagement and poor working conditions and that kind of thing. In fact, if you read Jason Schreier's not his op-ed he did recently, but his book, which I'm actually reading right now. I'm actually reading the Dragon Age Inquisition chapter right now, which is pretty interesting. But like a lot of what he talked about in that seems to still be true.
Oh yeah, horrible working conditions and the video game
mismanagement and
industry,
crunch
yeah.
and all that jazz. And it's one of those things I think the general public isn't really aware, and maybe most people don't really care to know about it. So I don't know if there's necessarily a moral obligation, but if you are aware of it, I don't know. It begs an interesting question.
Yeah,
I mean, if you're aware of the conditions and you also know the game is not getting good
So
reviews,
that's what I was gonna say. It honestly does depend on the game for me, because there are certain games that I was maybe iffy on in the first place, and then I hear that they're also shitty to all their developers and all that stuff. Then I'm like, yeah, big pass. But if it's something like, I don't know, fucking Red Dead. You know, that's a good
There's
example.
No way in hell I
was not gonna not play that game. I understand that, you know, the 100-hour work week's probably towards the end. It was crunch, and I understand that they came out and said it's not everybody that was doing that, and it wasn't the whole time. And I'm sure there were some shitty situations. But there are some games that it's like I just can't skip that game.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I think it's gonna vary from game to game.
I mean, yeah, I think the answer is absolutely yes. I think we just don't really like that answer.
Yeah,
because it means we would have to make sacrifices.
Well, obviously, yeah.
And I like
that is
it really sucks that that's kind of like in this system that's really your only option.
Well, I mean, also just talking about that stuff helps, but like having real journalists like fucking Jason Schreier out there doing these op-eds, and you know, Jim Sterling who won't shut up about stuff like this, like that's good.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
They're
That's
in a
big
position
part of
to where like they can
moving the
actually
needle.
maybe cause change, you know, and you know, we're just still going to play the games. They're still going to play the games, but I don't know. You know, one of the things that came out from that op-ed, I think, was that Dragon Age 4 was apparently like completely rebooted because they needed all hands on deck to fix Anthem or something. Like
Really?
that. Yeah.
But they didn't fix Anthem.
No. No.
That's the shitty thing.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right, did you have anything to add?
no. Well, we're gonna do a 4-player minute.
Well, I was gonna say, that's all the questions we had this week from both our patrons on patreon.com/4player and all our supporters on Twitch. Want to thank y'all for all the questions. Well, we've said it, you know, normally, but if anybody doesn't know, if you are a supporter on Twitch via Twitch Prime. Twitch Prime, is that what it's called, right? No, Amazon Prime. Yeah, but if you're a supporter on Twitch, you can ask us questions in the supporters channel on Discord, or if you are a backer on Patreon, we post a thread every week before the show where you can ask us any questions you like. As you saw this week, we had a variety of questions.
Yeah, a lot of them too. Yeah. Thank you very much. We're gonna do our 4-player minute. It is I didn't get to read our supporter spotlights 4-player minute from last week, because we were running out of time, but I'm going to go ahead and we'll do our 4-player minutes first, and then I'll read his to kind of wrap up the show. So,
cool.
Brad, why don't you start us off?
Okay. I had mostly hypes this week. One of them was the Castlevania collection, which I already talked about during news. I'm very excited about that. They're cherry picking the good ones. Hopefully the emulation's really good. My second hype is for the Dreams beta. Well, not beta. It's early access launches this month. And I'm kind of excited for that. I think people are sort of like underestimating that. I think it's low-key going to be one of the most impressive things this year, and I'm excited to try it out when it launches in early access. My third hype is also for this month. Steam World Quest comes out, which is the RPG card with card-based like mechanics.
Yeah.
A battle system looks really cool. I mean, I'm excited for that. I hope it's really good. I mean, they haven't really steered me wrong in the past. And my final hype is for a game that I didn't even realize was out. It actually came out last week. It's called Operencia.
That sounds really familiar.
It looks like Legend of Grimrock, but it has like a crazier like art style. Like I think it looks kind of fucking great. No one's talking about it. There's a few reviews and they're good. Honestly, it looks great, and I might be playing this on the stream tomorrow, so I'm really excited about that, trying that. And one, fuck you, I haven't really been here to talk about Trials Rising. You know, track design's great, still fun to ride your bike. Everything else about that game is a complete fucking, like, gross, like, just awful. I honestly, I think Red Lynx doesn't know how to make a good video game. They know how to make good tracks, and they know how to make good bike physics, and that's been good since the beginning. But they're so bad at like making the package around it, and I think this is the worst one yet. Just I mean, everything about it, top to bottom, all like the monetization stuff, like the loot boxes, just the way like the map screen works and the challenges, like everything is just trash. But the absolute biggest fuck you goes to the required like challenges that you have to do, which are these heat-based races versus AI opponents, where you're actually like physically racing against them, and you have on like the first one you have to get like in the top 4, the second one you have to get in the top 2, and the third one you have to win, right? And if you fuck up any of them, you have to completely restart. And the races, and it's all about not falling and getting through quick. And that's not how I play Trials.
Yeah.
That's how I play it all. I don't care about falling. It's all about getting to the hard stages and just having fun, doing flips and just getting over like the ridiculous like challenges. But there's nothing hard about these tracks. You just have to do it's extremely fast without falling, and I don't care about the easy tracks.
It's like they missed the point.
But they missed the point, at least for someone like me, and it's like a complete cock block because it's preventing me from getting to the Trials levels that are actually challenging. And I don't want to do these missions, but they require you to do them to progress. And I don't even want to play them. It's so frustrating. I just want to get to I've played so many levels and they're still easy and medium, and I want to get to the hard stages, and I have to like do these easy ass stages. I mean, the track's easy, but the race is challenging.
Yeah.
You have to do 3 in a row. It's so frustrating. They've never done anything like this in a Trials game. It's really pissing me off.
Sounds awful.
Yeah.
All right, Nolan.
Alrighty, my 4-player minute starts right now, and it is also very full of hypes. My first hype is for Shazam. It's getting really good reviews. Going to see it on Sunday. Very excited for that.
We're all going to see it on Sunday.
I don't know if I said we're going to, but I'm into.
I'm excited.
My second hype is kind of for the Joker, Joker. I'm very interested to see what that is. I do kind of like the vibe I got from the trailer, so I'm excited that it's also not Jared Leto. My third hype goes to in-game. Honestly, all of the kind of hubbub about getting tickets and all of that shit just kind of got me really pumped up for that movie. Like, I'm excited
you know what did
for
it. For
it.
me?
What's that?
That one scene in that trailer that they released on... Because that's how I found out on Friday morning, or whatever day that was. Not like Tuesday morning.
Tuesday.
I woke up and I was like trying to delay getting out of bed. I was like, oh, check my feed, whatever. I was like, oh, a new trailer. I watched the trailer, get to the end of the trailer, and it ends with tickets on sale now. And I was like, fuck! But like, there's one scene in the trailer with, I don't want to spoil it. Some people are avoiding it or whatever, but there's like
only Robin. Robin's the only person.
Wait! You tweeted about that. That is definitely not a spoiler.
There's like a handshake in that trailer. I was like, I'm in, fucking all in.
Oh yeah. I know what about.
Maybe I didn't see this trailer.
No, you did. It's a small moment what he's talking about, but
sorry, I look at it differently in my
Who
household.
shakes hands?
Everyone.
Iron Man.
There's
and
a scene
Captain
where they're all
America.
like shaking hands.
He says, "Do you trust me?"
exchanging,
And it says yes, and they shake hands, and it's like, oh,
That is not a.
oh sorry,
It could be a
Anyway,
spoiler. They
Sorry.
were once enemies.
sorry.
They
I know.
went
I
to
look
war.
at.
They were. Okay. I'm not gonna having this conversation.
and then my final hype is for all this Nintendo Switch news, all of these announcements, all these games, the LABO VR, the the Link to the Past, the Link's Awakening, the just all this potential, the Metroid Prime trilogy potentially, just all of this stuff. I'm getting really fucking excited because there's more and more coming to the Switch, and I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I hope they have a good E3.
Me too. Oh yeah, I hope their Nintendo Direct is successful.
They're direct.
All right, Crispy.
So my hype this week is for there've been so there's this it's Destiny related, so you guys can go ahead and tune out now if you want. There's this guy on Reddit, on the Destiny Reddit, named Anon the Nine, who has previously like made leaks about Destiny that have like come out to be true, and he's now talking a lot about Destiny 3. Apparently, like, Destiny 3 is coming up. Like, they're probably going to announce it like at E3 for a launch next year.
This would be like self-published now, wouldn't it?
Yeah, they're not with Activision anymore. Well, I don't know how that works, if they're like going to just have a contract with Activision to publish it or what. But a lot of stuff that he's been talking about has been really exciting. There have been rumors about like a Dark Zone style area in Destiny. On top of like the Crucible, and now they have Gambit, and Destiny 2 right now has been doing a lot of lore stuff over the last few seasons that set up like really interesting storylines, like going forward, like stuff that's kind of like been floating around since the beginning of Destiny, that like it looks like they're finally gonna like get to and address, and it looks really fucking dope, and I'm really excited about that. I am like up to my eyeballs in Destiny lore right now, and I'm loving every minute of it.
Awesome.
My sweat is that I'm like it's been like a week since I played Sekiro, and I just
say
every time it's not that I hate it, but like I'm definitely at that point where like every time I think about playing it, I just think about like dying and restarting and not making any progress, and I'm like, and I do something else, which kind of sucks. But I'm gonna try to force myself to play some and really get into it, but we'll see. My fuck you for the week, it goes to you guys saw that thing floating around on Twitter that was like, a real game.
Yeah, that was gross.
Mario isn't a real game. Like, if you only own a Nintendo Switch, you're not a real game. It's like,
I didn't see that.
Somebody
like
wrote
that.
like this like it was gross. It's just like thing talking about like Animal Crossing's not a real game, Stardew Valley's not a real game.
People are idiots.
Oh my god,
Yeah,
it
it
was
was fucking
gross.
stupid.
I saw
That was
there's been a lot of talk about like Sekiro and easy modes and stuff too,
Yeah.
and toxicity around that.
Yeah.
I saw
Yeah.
a savage burn on Twitter today though, where like it was like a big esports guy, like he made a tweet he's like, "Oh, I'd be okay with an easy mode in Sekiro if they called it game journalist mode," and someone
Jesus.
quoted that and said, "I'd be okay with an easy mode in sports if they called it esports." Oh man, that was savage.
Oh my god.
That's hilarious.
Nice.
And my thank you for the week is not really a thank you, but it's just like something I was thinking about. It's more of like a slight appreciation for Destiny. I'm gonna talk more about Destiny because I keep noticing like these little details when I'm playing the game. Like I'll be in a room that's like made of fucking like evil alien flesh with like all these veins and giant corpuscles and shit. And like if you're shooting at an enemy and you accidentally miss and like hit the wall, like the wall kind of like reacts
Jiggles?
to it and shit. Like, yeah, it's fucking weird. And like just last night I was playing and like I was using a hand cannon and I noticed something like, you know, the capacitive trigger on the PS4 controller, right? Where like the different pressure like applies differently. They have a whole animation for going through the entire trigger pull. So like when you're on a hand cannon and you just like pull the trigger
can see the
slightly,
finger,
the cylinder starts to rotate, the hammer starts to cock back. If you let it go, it all goes back to where it was. But
That's
like when you
cool.
pull it through and you get to like the end of the trigger pull, that's when like the trigger actually fires and the hammer like cocks forward and like the gun like kicks. It like it's so fucking good. And it was just something I noticed because like I was about to fire at somebody and they went behind cover and I let go and I was like, oh my god, the hammer was in motion already. Like it was I don't know, it's just like tiny little touches like that I think like count. I think that matters.
I
You know?
love little touches like that. Those are great.
God, I can't wait to do the last wish.
All right. Well, I always hate going last on 4-player minutes, but here we go.
But you're not last. You're second to last, Nick.
I know. This week I am. Hype. My hype this week. I have a lot of hypes, but my first one is going to go for movies in general. This is a good time for. I'm going to see Pet Sematary tomorrow. I'm very, very, very excited. I'm also I'm way more enthusiastic about the Joker than I thought I was going to be, mostly because I've always been kind of the opinion that like the Joker doesn't need an origin story. Why are they doing this? What the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
But like that trailer like struck all the right chords for me. It really did it for me, and I'm super. And not to mention, it gave me like there's the scene where he's walking away, and you see him drop the mask, like the Joker mask in the trash can, and it made me think of The Dark Knight. I don't know what it was about the way that scene was framed or whatever, but there's a lot of things in that trailer that made me think of The Dark Knight, and that's kind of
because it kind of calls back that fucking opening shot in The Dark Knight where he's like standing on the corner and they
holding the mask.
And like if they're obviously trying to pivot a little bit, and I would actually like to have a bigger conversation maybe on a bonus podcast sometime about just like DC and how they're maybe pivoting their approach to the movies, because if that's kind of what they're going for with like the whole Batman side of the universe now, like that would be really fucking cool. I'm also super excited for the Avengers, like I said, because you know that like their approach to trailers for the Avengers has been super minimalistic. Like they've shown almost nothing. And as a result, I wasn't very hyped for it. But like I said, I saw the one scene with the handshake, and I was like, dude,
I will agree with you, Nick.
I'm ready.
Compared to Infinity War, like there hasn't been a whole lot of action, and
know.
it's all been people standing
they're
around,
keeping it close to
talking,
their chest.
walking down a hallway. Like
It's really important music.
well, yeah, but no, like that's a good point. Is like I do recall the Infinity War trailers being like, oh man, they're showing like kind of a lot of big action sequences and stuff. And in this, they show, Tony in like the Milano and the Milano flying and people in it. They honestly haven't really shown a whole lot. And I like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, they probably showed
It's like I don't even have to avoid watching the trailers because the trailers don't show me anything.
Plus the movie's over 3 hours, so I mean, how much can they actually show?
I know, but I mean, like, they've shown me what I need to see to get excited, and I'm officially excited.
Yeah.
My other hype this week goes to I'm playing a lot of stuff right now, but like the one thing that's kind of in the back of my mind that I keep thinking about is The Division. I'm excited to get back to The Division. I have a few other things that I need to finish first.
Kingdom Hearts!
Kingdom Hearts 2 I'm almost done with, but that brings me to my sweat, which is Hollow Knight. It was kind of a fuck you before I kind of tweaked it a little bit. My fuck you kind of also goes to the fucking Radiance. Fuck that fight. Fuck it. I will be so happy when it's over. I mean, I love that game to death, but holy shit, that final boss is ridiculous. And my second fuck you of the week goes to that whole fucking discussion about the whole easy mode thing. I'm like sick of it already.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, but like
The problem, my problem with that easy mode discussion is just that like the people who are saying, oh, there shouldn't be an easy mode, that's the way the game is meant to be played, go play a different game, that's fine. But I just feel like if somebody came out and like tried to make a game that was like Dark Souls but like easier, that was like a more accessible Dark Souls, and people got into that and like were having fun with it, those same people would be like, you guys are playing the fucking baby game. But like there's no right answer. Like, it just sounds like people wanting to be fucking mean to each other. Like,
I feel like
that's true. That's a big part of why I think I had this like fuck you.
I did read something that someone suggested that like Dark Souls, Demon Souls, whatever, would have never even become like a thing if the conversation about how hard it was didn't happen.
right.
I feel like
if
there was an easy mode back then, or if it was just easier, I don't think it would be
That's
a
fine.
thing.
Look, I'm not saying that they should force a easy mode into it. I'm not saying that they should consider putting easy modes into future Souls or Bloodborne games or whatever. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like I don't when people are saying like, oh, go play a different game and that's fine, like blah blah blah, play what you want to play. If you don't like don't play a hard game. Like those people, I think a lot of those people are just trying to take like some sort of high ground and say like, well, I'm just a better gamer than you. Like,
so I mean, Crispy, you're talking about people on the internet, and people on the internet are assholes, and that's always how it's going to be. And I don't agree with what they're saying. I honestly don't personally care if there would be an easy mode. I would probably still play it on that. I mean, I generally just play games on the normal mode. When it comes to difficulty levels, I think of, oh, I've now beaten this game and mastered it. I want a challenge. Give me that challenge. I do feel that games like Sekiro and Dark Souls, for the most part, can be played by anyone. I'm not saying it's going to be easy. It is challenging.
I feel like adding a difficulty, just even adding multiple difficulty modes to a From Software Souls game, whether it's making it easier or harder, just kind of dilutes the experience.
This is a big conversation.
Okay,
let's move on.
I think Dark Souls, no. I think Sekiro maybe should have an easier mode.
Part of it is
you can't summon people.
I didn't actually
Sekiro.
mean to bring this up as like a discussion to have. I literally kind of hate the discussion. But anyways, that's it for our 4-player minute. Like I said, I want to wrap up the show today by reading our supporter spotlight, Farrakhan. Farrakhan. I keep saying Farrakhan. Farrakhan.
For some weird reason too.
That's the way it reads in my mind. Okay, you bitch. His 4-player minute starts now. My hype is for Cyberpunk 2077 because if there was ever a studio to put faith and goodwill in, it would be CD Projekt Red. It could possibly be just what we want it to be. Also, it's reason to be excited. It's going to be a big thing at E3 this year, so we'll probably know more about that game pretty fucking soon. My sweat is for Platinum because while Nier Automata saved them, I don't know about save them.
It did. They said as much. They straight up came out and said as much. If it wasn't for Platinum,
But I think
I
what
mean,
he's
if it wasn't
saying is
for
that they're
Nier.
not like out of the fire yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
While Nier Automata saved them, it may not last. It's entirely possible Bayonetta will undersell again, and Astral Chain won't grab enough people despite definitely being dope.
Yeah, I
and
agree.
Babylon's Fall will do something. That's true. Like, all those games are like potential flops.
Yeah.
And, Bayonetta being a Nintendo exclusive again, I don't know. For whatever... Okay. And also, whatever went on with Ground Blue and whichever story you believe, it didn't work out so well for them the last time they made a bunch of games at once. It's true. They're making a lot. They're splitting their time between a lot
Also,
of
the
shit.
difference about Bayonetta is it's coming out on the Switch and not the Wii U this time.
Yeah. Well, bigger install base, so we'll see what happens
I
there.
mean, much more thirsty. And yes.
Where was I? And my fuck you goes to our lovely community, specifically the ones who got into Final Fantasy XIV and have been very vocal about it and making me feel the itch again. That's right. They went out and created their own Final Fantasy XIV channel in our Discord channel, and that's a very active channel. There are people playing Final Fantasy XIV together in our community. Go check that out.
Damn.
They're not listening to this podcast. They're playing Final Fantasy. Well, actually, they're probably doing both.
He says, I already quit and said no to MMOs forever. Please don't tempt me like this. But I want to try Red Mage. So, that's something to consider. Farrakhan, thank you very much for submitting your answers for Supporter Spotlight for the month. We do really appreciate it. And I think that is going to conclude our show tonight. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you for watching. 4playernetwork.com, of course, is our website. You can find all of our podcasts there. Quick reminder to join us on Discord at discord.gg/4player. If you want to support us on Patreon, you can join the Revival Club for $3 or more per month. We're playing Devil May Cry 3 all month, and we're going to keep playing older games together, talking about them, recording bonus podcasts, and all that jazz. Also, a reminder, we are doing a Red Dead Redemption 2 post-mortem, spoiler cast, whatever you want to call it, on April 15th. So if you have any thoughts or questions related to that game that you want to hear us talk about on that show, leave us a comment on the Patreon thread that went up today, or you can ping me in the 4Player Plus channel in Discord. Just tag me and I'll pin it to the channel. So that's it. We'll be back next Thursday night with another episode. Thank you so much for watching / listening.
Do you want to tell them what will be happening 2 weeks? 3 weeks? How many weeks is it?
What are we thinking of?
I don't know the date off the top of my
shit!
head.
I almost forgot.
3
too.
weeks.
I meant to
3
say
weeks.
congratulations. Chris Davis didn't remind me. He reminded me earlier tonight, but I forgot. I want to send a congratulations out to a community member, SMG Sterling, who is apparently... Is it engaged or married? Engaged. Congratulations to SMG Sterling for getting engaged. Woo! Sorry, Nolan, what were you...
3 weeks, the 25th. It's not going to be a podcast.
Community night?
Well, something. We don't know yet.
Well, I was actually going to mention to y'all, I'm going to be out of town for the week of the 8th, show on the 18th. I don't know what y'all are going to do. Sorry. Crispy, what is this?
No, I would like this.
We're going to do something, whether it's a community night or a board game night this month. Details forthcoming. We will let y'all know.
I wanted you to bring up the fact that going forward,
Yes,
for those
we're-
who don't know, once a month, generally it's going to be probably either the
Later
last Thursday or second to last Thursday. We are going to be doing something that is not a podcast.
Yeah.
Be it a community night, a board game night, a couch co-op, whatever. Just something different to kind of take a break from the podcast, have fun with the community. Honestly, I thought the last one we did where we just played like golf with friends,
Bunch of random shit.
Smash, I thought that went great. I just like having fun hanging out and not kind of having to all sit rigidly in our chairs for 2 hours and talk about
video
games.
games,
I
yeah.
kind of have that more fun.
So we will post the official details when we kind of finalize what day that's going to be. So keep your eyes peeled. We will be sure to let everybody know on Twitter and Discord, on Patreon, all that good stuff. We will hopefully you guys will join us and be a part of that whenever we decide to do it. And with that said, that's a wrap. Thank you so much for listening. We'll catch you guys next week. Good night.
Bye.